Once the initial Moorish conquest had been achieved, you have a movement of so-called Arabs into Spain, led by Musa. And once again, Musa is the head. I'm going to pick it up. Musa is the head of the Arab armies that had ordered the conquest of Northwest Africa. Now, although the Africans had achieved the greatest victories, they were given the least rewards. They were given the worst allotments of land, and they were treated, no doubt about it, in a second-class manner. Tariq himself is reported to have been publicly rebuked and was struck by a whip by Musa.
Hootie, can you repeat that again, brother, please? If we're going to concert.
I heard what Tahuti said.
I've seen Malachi in 3 different sizes. He went from 5'7", and he went to the size of about an 8-year-old child, and he was playing with the children. And I've seen him as taller than me. I've seen that with my eyes.
So wait a minute, man. Hold up. So what God did he invoke to help him do that?
I'm 6'5" now. I used to be 6'2", I'm 6'5" now.
Oh, you see him change sizes? Height ranges from like 4 foot, 4.5 feet to 6.5.
Yeah, not just change size, but the whole body structure of like a child, like an 8-year-old child, and he was playing with the children as their size. He was their size, and he was playing with them as their size. I saw that.
Yeah, no, but it ain't the people, right? Let me help you out. I'm gonna help y'all out real fast in some language, and I know his audience is listening. Do you know the first language ever? Do you know the first language, either one of y'all?
Well, brothers and sisters, brace yourself. You know, I don't know the first language ever. Apparently, he knows it. Let's listen.
Yes, baby language.
Baby language, right?
So baby language is a language now? All right, okay. If it's okay. Well, it's a language, we can learn it and we can speak it, right? Sounds pseudo, but it's okay.
Baby language is the first language. It's Gaga Goo, like Lady Gaga, Gaga Goo, baby speak. Who else speaks like that? Who else talks? Well, whoever this is, who you are, let me see your face first. Or you're not coming on, you can just sit back. So Gaga Goo is numbers, basically. Like most animals, numbers, hand signals, and stuff like that.
Is it serious right now? Gaga Goo is numbers? You know, there's one thing I forgot, but you know, he did say that more means navigator, you know what I'm saying? You know, so if it's a nationality, you know, navigators is not supposed to be a nationality, you know. Anybody can be a navigator, you know. It just takes a little training, you know. You don't need to earn a PhD to become a navigator, but it's okay, you know what I'm saying. Let's listen to the first language, Gaga Goo.
Gaga Goo, it's numbers. Babies talk to one another. They talk. They're numbers. The other
they sure do,
right? They know what they communicate with each other. They be talking with each other. You notice that? They be sitting there talking to each other. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know what the hell they're saying. The other language, if y'all not familiar with this, and if you...
It's a language. How come we don't know what the hell they're saying? So it's an undeciphered language then, I guess.
You can probably find it. You should look that up too. Now, don't try to steal what I'm saying because it's going to be very hard. Give me 1 second.
You ain't got no proof, nigga, that I went to the hospital and they all told me I had AIDS. I went to like 4 hospitals, and the hospitals was telling me that I had AIDS. AIDS.
Shaka. I don't give a fuck what Ramesses said. I'm Sonetta. Ramesses was just another man, bro. I don't worship them motherfuckers. I don't give a fuck what Ramesses said. I don't give a fuck what Akhenaten said.
As a people, I hate Africans because of what they did to my people.
I don't believe in old Egyptian gods. I don't believe in that stuff. I wasn't even taught that bullshit, right? I'm the one who bangs against the Comedics. I bang against them and they can't get through me because the gods that they worship, right, were born from another group of thinking, right? So you can't come with me with no goddamn Heru or no other that bullshit. Show it to me in the primary, show it to me in writing, show it to me in the period. You're making the bullshit up.
First, let me say to you, I'm not planning on being here long talking about these issues, but I do want to say to you that there have been a number of things that have occurred that are quite concerning, that I'm sure that you are aware of. I really need to say to you that first, let's begin with the allegations, and the arrest and the subsequent arrest of Brother Polite. It is so important for us to acknowledge that the charges that have been levied against Brother Polite, and in fact his subsequent arrest, are very serious. They're very serious. And I do know that there are some of you who would like to say that that we should simply wait until all of this is adjudicated in court. And clearly, I think that we should recognize that, of course, it is going to be adjudicated in court. Of course it is. Of course, this is something that is so serious, that the allegations are so vile that they will be adjudicated in court. It is not our role to convict Brother Polite before that occurs. However, I'm going to say to you, when the allegations are as serious as they are, we need to take them seriously. And in taking them seriously, I think it should be pretty clear that we should expect Brother Polite to be on timeout, at the very least. At the very least, he needs to sit down and not do the things that he had been doing. I think that I've been concerned by some of there's only one way to call it, flossing that he's been doing on social media during this time.
Polite, if let's say Polite is innocent, he could be a partial victim. You know, maybe he broke up with the girl. Who knows, you know, what happened in that instance. But the only true victim is that girl. So I think that's what we need.
And I think that's being a hypocrite, because you have a member of ISUPK who was locked up for child molestation, for rape, or whatever it is, and y'all still support him. Here it is, Polite have not been found guilty, and y'all wouldn't support him. See the double standard?
What
you have a member
standard?
in ISUPK, which y'all support him financially. You put money on his books. But Polite have not been found guilty, and y'all
This how I know you taking a strong. This how I know you take a strong position of Polite's innocence, regardless of waiting till the verdict come, because you keep bringing up the same exact thing, even though I've explained the position dozens of times. How many times do I have to explain the same exact position? So in that instance, the brother took a lot of.
Even if you explain it, it still remains the same, though, Captain.
No,
you still support
what remains the same?
Guilty.
But what remains the same, though?
That he was found guilty.
Definitely was found guilty. But he also
Polite was not found guilty.
I'm not saying don't support him, though. Right.
Brother, you said if the brother come on my channel, you done.
Wait.
And you know you got me, man. You got me. I said, all right, brother.
That's right. But
I'm going to tell you why, because I'm an Israelite and Tazariak Israelite. And I think his doctrine is off compared to what we teach it. We both had the same mission. But he's telling the Israelites it's okay to mix race, right? He's telling that they got a doctrine saying that if a child reached a flower, they could be 15 or 9 years old, you can have sex with them. Okay, this is what they teach.
You talk about running.
How about the mighty fucking Hebrew? This nigga went to jail for rape, dog.
Oh, go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? Like, nigga,
and that nigga back in the community, like everything good, Hebrews quiet. What about Nazi Yashavel? Let's not forget the mighty Hebrew nigga, who you get constantly on your channel, who's on all the Hebrews channel. Don't forget, the mighty Hebrew, the bald head nigga, been already incarcerated in prison for molesting a young child. He came home and they violated him again because the nigga was trying to fuck with another child.
He basically had a situation where a mother and a daughter, he had sex with both of them. And she's saying you should have known better as a man not to sleep with a mother and a daughter. Now he's saying he slept with a bunch of mothers and daughters. Now, and all she's trying to tell him is it was wrong. That's all it was. He took the video down, but check this. Hear this again.
Stay anonymous is the best fucking thing you could ever do. Fuck out of here. Motherfuckers think I'm worried about something. What the fuck I look like being worried about these bitches? These bitches, they like clowns. They're like the Three Stooges tripping over each other. They really are. You're like the fucking Three Stooges. Wow. Mika, eat a dick, bitch. They knew better. Why the fuck they fucking each other's man? Bitch, why you don't pose it that way? Fuck you, hoe. Die. Somebody I knew better.
So that's somebody
here.
So that's somebody.
No bitches with that pussy ain't got no brain. Is that it? I gotta take responsibility for their pussy? Is that it? Fuck you, hoe. I gotta take responsibility for their pussy. Is that what you telling me? I gotta take responsibility for what Nicole does with her pussy and what her daughter does with her pussy. It's my responsibility. Fuck out of here.
We got to stop giving titles to people just because.
Hold on. Get the fuck out of here. You done. Fuck out of here. I fucked other mother daughters. You don't see them saying no shit like this all over the internet.
Okay. Sister Sacred Infinite, feel free to speak, sister.
Peace and blessings to you, Shaka, and peace and blessings to everyone on the panel and everyone in the chat. I just wanted to give my take on things as far as the gossip in the conscious community. What I want to say, Shaka, is it seems as if, when you shed light onto people's dirty, devilish things that you do, it seems like nobody wants to deal with it. I feel like these things, people should be put in the hot seat. We should be dealing with it as a conscious community, correcting it and say that we don't approve of it instead of terming it gossip or, oh, that's old news. How can anything ever be old news when people are constantly being introduced to the conscious community? Everyone didn't arrive at the same time, and not only is it some of the stuff isn't old, some of the stuff is actually happening right now, and it is a conversation, even if it's tough, that needs to be had.
All right.
So Shabazz was not permitted to stay in that area, so he took his family into the jungle of East Asia, which we now call Africa, to make a people close to nature. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, this is the origin of kinky hair. Because we didn't have kinky hair prior to that. The hair on our head was like the hair on our eyebrows. The hair on your eyebrows straight, the hair on your head is not the same as the hair on your eyebrow. But the hair of every other people is the same as their eyebrow. Your eyebrow straight, your hair something different. Wouldn't you like the hair on your head to be as straight as the hair on your eyebrow? That's why you so busy frying it. That's why you so busy pulling it. Because your nature tells you that the kink I mean, with I'm black and I'm proud, we got to learn to be proud of kinks. Because most of your family of other black people on the earth, jet black. They didn't have no broad nose and thick lips and kinky hair. They were dark-skinned people, jet black. But they had straight hair, a thinner lip, a thinner nose. But we are marked as a different kind of black person. And we were rejected and despised, not only from the circle of the gods, but we were despised and rejected by all the other dark people of the earth. This is why today black people with kinky hair and broad nose and thick lips are rejected in every society. I want you to hear me well tonight. Yes, sir. Why are we rejected? Because the essence of beauty is in obedience and submission to God. And the essence of ugliness is when you rebel against God. And when you rebel against God, in your rebellion, you are marked with a certain mark of your rebellion, which is the disfigurement of your internal self, which manifests in the disfigurement of your external self. And this is why when you look at our people, wherever we are found on the earth, you find us either disfiguring ourselves physically because we are disfigured on the inside because of rebellion.
What's up, Sinuena Senuti Tilen Isha Kanukukemet? I hope you're doing well. The title of this live stream is Black Means Pale, Taj Tarik Bey is Pseudo. Bear with me just a few seconds. Need to get the timestamp right. Hope he did not delete his stuff. There it is. Okay, good. Let me go through the comments. Bennett is in a place to be hero. These guys peddle anti-blackness and anti-African concepts openly to a community of people who are victims of anti-blackness and anti-Africanness. Love me for a road. GM, good morning. Spot on, Kemet. Victim hashtag is important to me, you know, because Chris Next talked about, you don't know the specifics of the case, so well, you know, at least that's the least they should know. You know, those guys from the HOK didn't know how old the victim was. She was probably younger than Polite's alleged victim. So why would they talk about Polite? Why would they talk about African Mambata when we possibly have a girl that was way younger than those other victims? But anyway, I've shared a link to the previous live stream. It was a quick one, less than an hour long. Donnie Williams is in the place to be. Texas Bama wrote, yeah, I can't with them too. Basically, numbers, yeah. Yeah. Google Gaga, this is numbers. He says Scam Cheddar with his chest out, plenty of bass. Oh, I don't know what that is exactly. Obviously, somebody put him up to speaking out so obvious. Another scripted talk. Oh, and that's something. Our sister RP, Senet E. Hotep, Dua, she got her shirt today. If there's any chance you can show it to the people, you know, even if it's not on you, if you can just, you know, show it like that, hey, I'd appreciate it if you can do that, sister, if you have time. I'm glad, man. She got her shirt today. I don't even know which one she ordered. I don't know if she got the Kemet one or Ma'at one, you know what I'm saying? So we'll see if the sister has time. But that makes me very happy, man. As a matter of fact, I'm repping. See, the Kemet hat is in my car. Oh, yeah, thank you. She wrote, okay, I will. The Kemet hat is in my car. And, you know, I don't have the Ma'at Forever hot all the time because we have a mod forever. We have the layout and all that. But hey, that makes me happy. So I'm repping it. You know what I'm saying. But I like the Kemet hat in my car, so sometimes I decide to go live and I can have it on. You know what I'm saying. And people do stare a lot because they see hieroglyphs and nothing else. So every day that you see people with gear and there's hieroglyphs on it. Okay, now let's deal with those, those claims of the Moors.
Egyptians weren't Africans. They're talking about black people. So, like Todd said, if you read 100 Amazing Facts about the Negro by J.A. Rogers, he tell you the ancient names for 8 Egyptians are Nubian, Moor, Ethiopian, right? Nisu, not black people. Black is a modern day term.
It's a connotation, and for those of you who are listening to this feed, do yourself a respectful favor and mark this down as I speak. Anybody that knows fun.
For those who don't know him, that person talking is Taj Tarik Bey. He's been around for a long time. He may be one of the most known Moor. Self-proclaimed Moor. Wannabe Moor.
Fundamental language, right? Knows that black is Middle English, which is 1100 or 1150 to 1500. Traces to Old High German. That's Middle English. Traces to Old High German, Blake, which means pale colors. So when our people are saying black power, they're saying pale people power, and don't even know that's what they're saying.
Pale people power.
Now let's have a look. I'm sharing the link in the chat. That's Etim Online, which I use a lot. Black, adjective. From the Old English, black, absolutely dark. Now, what did Taj Tarik Bey say? He said that black is Middle English, didn't he? Old English black, absolutely dark, absorbing all light of the color of soot or coal. From Proto-Germanic black as, it's so funny, black as. It ends with a Z, not with a S or S sound. Burned. Source also of Old Norse or Norse, blacker, dark. Old High German, black. Now in German, they have an H sound, which is close to a K sound, black, but I don't know if it's the one here. Swedish, black, ink. Dutch, blacken, to burn. From Proto-Indo-European, blug, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. To burn, gleam, shine, flash. Source also of Greek, phlegen, to burn, scorch. Scorch. We're going to have scorch later on. Latin, flagrare, or flagrar, to blaze, glow, burn. From root, bleh, to shine, flash, burn. The usual Old English word for black was swart. See, swart. The same root produced Middle English lake, which means pale. You see? So you cannot have an etymology and deal only with the Middle English if you don't go back to the Old English. And it clearly tells you that the same root of the Old English produced the Middle English, okay? From Old English, black, bright, shining, glittering, pale, the connecting notions being perhaps fire, bright, and burn, dark, or perhaps absence of color. According to OED, in Middle English, it is often doubtful whether black means black, dark, or pale, colorless, one, livid. See? It is often doubtful. And the surname Blake can mean either one of pale complexion or one of dark complexion. Black was used of dark-skinned people in Old English of coffee with nothing added, attested by 1796. The meaning fierce, terrible, wicked is from the late 14th century. The figurative senses often come from the notion of without light, moral or spiritual. Latin Niger had many of the same figurative senses. Gloomy, unlucky, bad, wicked, malicious. The metaphoric use of the Greek word melas, however, tended to reflect the notion of shrouded in darkness, overcast. In English, it has been the color of sin and sorrow, at least since circa 1300. The sense of with dark purposes, malignant, emerged 1580s. In black art, necromancy, it is also the sense in black magic. Now, there was a mention of more somewhere. Black verb, circa 1200. Intransitive become black, early 14th century. Transitive, make black, darken, put a black color on from black adjective, especially clean and polish boots, shoes, etc., by blacking and brushing them. 1550s, related, blacked, blacking, black, noun, Old English black, the color black, also ink or ink. I said ink because in middle nature we do have ink. From noun use of black adjective, it is attested from late 14th century as dark spot in the pupil of the eye. The meaning dark-skinned person, African, is from 1620s, perhaps late 13th century, and blackamoor is from 1540s, meaning black clothing, especially worn in mourning. Check that thing here. I don't think I need to read the whole. Oh, here. Yeah, blackamoor, dark-skinned person, black-skinned African, 1540s, from black plus more with connecting element. All right. So there we have it. There's a little something else. Let me share the link. If we can see that shirt, I'd be glad. Let's go back. There's just going to be a thing or two. You know, it's not going to be a long excerpt. No, wrong one. Where is it? There it is.
Pale people power.
But yet, if you tell them the fact of what the word means, they will get defensive.
Hey man, listen. We're gonna help y'all out. It is. I'm gonna share something with y'all from J.E. Rogers, y'all. Okay. So I want y'all, like we said, do your due diligence. 2657, because we got to get out of here.
So funny, this guy, you think he relies only on one book, man. You know? And there was another Moor, you know, that moron who lied and said that the passport nationality field says more. He was also talking about J.R. Rogers, and he was like, you know, yeah, if you want to discredit J.R. Rogers, going off, you know what I'm saying? Even try to use Khalil Abdul Muhammad in his madness of defending the anti-African teachings of the NOI, you know. But, you know, some of you missed it, you know.
Get something to eat. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull something up from J.E. Rogers' book. And Henry Louis Gates turned whole work around, man. He just messed up his whole book. J.E. Rogers' book. He didn't.
Man, Sabir been messed up the whole reputation of Moors worldwide with his Google Gaga Google, that is.
He took the Moors out of the book. Henry Louis Gates did. But see, when you do your research, right, and you hold fast to this, right? Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. This is from J.A. Rogers' work right here. Give me 1 second. The great J.A. Rogers. Black and colored, on the other hand, have no historical meaning whatsoever for African people, right? Black is from the Anglo-Saxon. Let me turn this around so y'all can see this.
Yeah, that's back to yeah.
Black is from the Anglo-Saxon. Okay? B.
And where is Moor from? From the African? The Africans or black people come up with that term Moor? I mean, you know, that's what happened. People have some 30-year-old inaccurate doctrine. They're still holding on to it, you know, because they have no integrity.
LAEC. Okay? Do you see that? So that's where it comes from. But yet you let these black scholars tell y'all that the ancient
That's
black.
an identity. That's the big.
There's something else that's gonna come up soon. Before the record, let me just read it here. Black and colored, on the other hand, have no historic meaning. Whatever for African peoples, black from the Anglo-Saxon black has most horrible meanings. See any large dictionary. Colored is related to the Latin celare, to conceal, to color up, to paint a thing other than in its true light. Thus, the tendency to decry Negro on the ground that it means slavery is sheer ignorance. These guys, they roll with a European term and then try to disqualify other European terms.
Big problem.
It's a black lineage, Taj, though. You gotta understand it's a lineage, brother. It's a lineage. No, it's not. Your lineage goes back. We're Moors, point blank, without no doubt. How many times we gotta have this conversation with people?
People need to know the difference between what is known as nom de guerres. Now, nom de guerres are pseudonyms or war names commonly referred to as brands, distinguished from pedigree. And
for those who speak French, he said nom de guerre. You know, I don't fault him for the pronunciation. It's not easy to pronounce, you know, close to native speakers, but that's French, nom de guerre, which literally means name of war or war name, you know. So that will be some sort of nickname, you know, but not a brand, you know, not that I know of, you know.
What you call bloodline attributes, or what they refer to as bloodline names.
You say it again? Bloodline what?
Names.
Bloodline names. Okay. So we almost finished. We just want to show you something. So we had 2659. I'm gonna put this one up here too. Get J.A. Rogers' book. Okay, 100 Amazing Facts About the Negro. Okay, get that book. And like Ty said, the mass scholarship is there with J.A. Rogers. They just say, well, he didn't go to the European school, Taj.
Europeans went to our schools and took over.
Say it again. So let me just show y'all this. Okay, this is J.A. Rogers also. Bear with me. This is J.A. Rogers. Again, pay attention, people. He said, look, Nubian, the most ancient names for so-called black people are Nasu or Nubian, Ethiopian, and Moor from ancient Egypt. So the Moors are.
Now, he didn't write Nesu. I was a bit surprised. I was like, damn, J.A. Rogers knew that term, you know. Nesu is a Medu Neter or hieroglyphic word for king. Some people pronounce it Nesut or Nisut, but he actually says Nehesu. So it looks like he was familiar with the term Nehesi that we today call Nehesi, which is a term for Nubian in Medu Neter, you know. One of the terms for Nubians, because they had different, you know, tribe or groups of Nubians, you know. So yeah. And Donnie Williams, as he can wrote Nubian. So
are the ancient Egyptians. So down here, black and colored, I don't know who this is trying to call me, black, Nubian, Ethiopian, and Moor from ancient Egypt. So the Moors are the ancient Egyptians.
So with all due respect to J.A. Rogers, there's no Moor from ancient Egypt. As far back as the term Moor, what we call Moor, can be traced in golden age of the Moor, it will go like to the 3rd century, maybe 4th century BC, you know, from Mori, from Moros, you know. Ancient Egypt? No. That's false. And so BRB repeated that, you know, there's no more from ancient Egypt. Now, I have played, Donnie Williams wrote in the Hesse indeed, I have played Ali Muhammad saying that there was no such thing as Kemet, it was a civilization of Moors. But, you know, that dude, you know, he's not the best, the most accurate dude around. He's the one who showed a fake PhD degree. A fake doctorate degree, I mean.
So down here, black and colored, I don't know who this is trying to call me, black and colored, right, are like white are European words. European words. Ethiopian and Moors was used before the 1500s. So what is the argument?
Okay, well, he I can understand why he's not reading the whole thing, but for the record, let's go ahead and read it. Miscellaneous 91. The most ancient names for so-called black people are Nehesu, or Nubian, Ethiopian, and Moor from ancient Egypt, and Negro or Negrita from West Africa. They're not using that, are they? Oh my goodness, all the above are nits. Why would they pick and choose? Why would they pick up? And you see, it doesn't just say more, period. It says more from ancient Egypt. That's funny, But why don't they use Nehesu or Nubian or Ethiopian? And you know one funny thing? Now, of course, they will say they are not temple Moors, but it's interesting to know what Ruali said about the Ethiopian. So what people refer to as a Moorish 101. Our sister RP is in the place to be. What's up, sister?
E.T. Sen E. How you doing?
E.T. Senate E. I'm doing nefer.
Oh, great. Well, I got it today. I was thinking it was coming from France, but then I did the tracking and it was outside actually when I went to check, and here it is.
Oh, that's what's up. It's just like my hat. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Let me do the solo layout. There it is, brothers and sisters. That's
Yeah.
what's up.
I really like this. Yeah, so I have an after school program that I help facilitate. And I'm going to wear this because we're going to start talking about coding. So I'm going to
Okay.
use this as an introduction because this is a code. It's
Mm.
ancient code, but it's still a code. And then we're going to be able to, demonstrate. I'll be able to demonstrate to them the meanings inside each of the, glyphs and stuff. So, but yeah, I was looking online and I was like, this is actually like really good designs, So as soon as I get some more, extra money, I'm gonna get the matching hat, and I want to get a Ma'at shirt. But I really like the Kemet one to start with. Yeah, so it's really good, and the prices ain't bad either. So
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
yeah, but
Donnie
you know
Rena
what?
has wrote. Yes, go ahead,
Hmm?
sister. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that boonie cover, the hat. I don't know what they call. I call it a boonie cover. I really like that with the.
The bandana?
Nah,
Oh,
it's
the cover, the protection cover thing.
yeah, it goes all the
Yeah.
way around. That's the one I want to get next too. Yeah.
You. Oh, do you mean that?
It's a hat that I don't know what they call it. It's like a
Oh,
beach
like a
hat.
beanie low, like
Yeah.
a hat for winter, like.
Or that you would wear if it's sunny, but it goes all the way around.
Oh yeah, I get it. Oh, okay. I didn't even know that was added.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
All
like
right.
that one
Okay.
too. But
Okay.
yeah, I
Okay.
got it. Proud owner of my own my Out
Kemet shirt.
Forever shirt. Kemet. Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah. So I won't interrupt. I can let you finish talking because I heard you talking about etymology and
Yeah.
yeah. So I can just mute and listen.
Okay. Thank you, sister.
Yeah.
So, brothers and sisters, what is known as a Moorish 101? Let's do this. Moorish 101. Oh, snap. Moorish 101. Yes, common because, there it is. What did Ruali say about Ethiopian? Question and answer 90. It's funny because J.A. Rogers, that was 91, wasn't it? Yes, it was 91. So as you can all see, 90, what does Ethiopia mean? Ethiopia means something divided. 91. Can a man be a Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian? No. But here J. Rogers is saying that one of the oldest names, one of the oldest names, one of the most ancient names for so-called black people are Nehesu or Nubian, Ethiopian, and more from ancient Egypt. Okay, let's continue. All the above are native African words. How is Negro or Negrita native African words? It's not disrespectful to disagree with somebody's claim. Negro is probably the oldest, as the Negritos are the oldest known branch of the human race. So you see that same book that they're using, both Taj Tarik, well, particularly Sabia Bey in this instance, it says what? Negro is probably the oldest name. So why don't they go around calling themselves Negro? It doesn't say that Moor or Moorish is older than Negro. You know? So Negro is probably the oldest, as the Negritos are the oldest known branch of the human race. Negro comes from the river Niger, or Niger, as you say in English. Niger found its way into Latin, and since the people from that region were dark-skinned, Niger, Nigra, Nigrum came to mean black. You know what? Let's look up the term Negro now. Oh, snap. You have the link in the chat. ATM online. Negro 1550s, member of a black-skinned race of Africa from Spanish or Portuguese. Negro, black, from Latin nigrum, nominative, Niger, black, dark, sable, dusky, applied to the night sky, a storm, the complexion, figuratively, gloomy, unlucky, bad, wicked, according to the Van, a word of unknown etymology, according to Watkins, perhaps from Proto-Indo-European Nikut, night. The Latin word also was applied to the black peoples of Africa, but the usual terms were Ethiops and Afer. As an adjective from 1590s, used with the capital N became general early 20th century. Example, 1930 in New York Times style book in reference to US citizens of African descent. But because of its perceived association with white imposed attitudes and roles, the word was ousted late 1960s in this sense by black. Professor Booker T. Washington politely interrogated as to whether Negroes ought to be called Negroes or members of the colored race, has replied that it has long been his own practice to write and speak of members of his race as Negroes, and when using the term Negro as a race designation to employ the capital N. Harper's Weekly, June 2nd, 1906. So still with the now this is black anyway. Black meaning African American vernacular, the English language, blah blah blah. But anyway, oh well, let's continue because we have the term more. So black meaning African American vernacular, the English language as spoken by U.S. blacks is from 1704. French nègre is a 16th century borrowing from Spanish negro. All the English words were Moor and blackamoor. A Middle English word for Ethiopian, perhaps also a Negro generally, was blue man, blue man. All right. Okay. So there we have it. When it comes to Negro, there's no mention that this is how did the J. Rogers put it down? Native term. All of the above are native African words. Okay. Anyway, so Niger found its way into Latin, and since the people of the region were dark skinned, Niger, Nigra, Nigrum came to mean black. Negro, Negrito, Negrita means the people of the Great River. Black and colored like white are, on the other hand, European words. Ethiopian and more were popularly used to describe the so-called blacks until 1500. Shakespeare uses Negro only once and uses it synonymously with Moor. Africa comes from the ancient Egyptian Afrika or Kafrika, the land of the Kafir. Now, do you know what Kafir means, brothers and sisters? There's a derogatory terms, which comes from the Arabic kafir, which means infidel, and the plural is kufar. There's a French rap group made up of black people, except one person who is Berber, of Berber descent, so he's white skinned. And in one song, they use the term, in this country of kufar, and that caused quite some controversy, and but anyway, let me share the link. Kafir, 1790, infidel, earlier, and also kaf, 1670s, from Arabic kafir, unbeliever, infidel, impious, wretch, with a literal sense of one who does not admit blessing of God, from kafara, to cover up, conceal, deny, blot out. Technically a non-Muslim, but in Ottoman times it came to be used there almost exclusively as the disparaging word for Christian. It was also used by Muslims in East Africa of the pagan black Africans. English missionaries then picked it up as an equivalent of heathen to refer to Bantus in South Africa, 1731, from which use in English it came generally to mean South African black, regardless of ethnicity, and be a term of abuse at least since 1934. And Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, was revealed worldwide for his non-violent protests, blah blah blah, fighting against the British imperialism. He used that term to refer to black people, and he said a few anti-black stuff, what I'm saying, but Ibn Khaldun gets a pass. Now in French, the word for roach, in French it is cafard. Cafard derives from kafir. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let's go back to the stuff on the screen there. So where were we? Yeah, that's about it. So I don't think it's gonna say much more,
Why are we arguing?
Scholars already know this. This is back to what I said. Scholars know this information and always did. The problems that we've had among our own is that many of our so-called, and I quote unquote say so-called, black scholars or colored scholars, as they like to call themselves, have been compromised because they've been getting what you call stipends from the corporate world to publish their works and to fund their propagations.
We've heard enough, you know what I'm saying? But he co-signed, what was read in J.A. Rogers' book. You know what I'm saying? He says scholars knows this, you know what I'm saying? Now, one thing popped up in my feed.
The Moors were considered Islamic people who took over much of the Iberian Peninsula and what is today Spain and Portugal. If you were as far south as, say, the West Africa now and North Africa, going over into what is the Middle East today, and you were of the Islamic faith, you would have been called a Moor at some point in time. Some people may have called you a Moor if they came in contact with you and interacted with you. The Moors came into contact with the Iberian Peninsula in Spain in 711 and began their conquest there and stayed there for over 700 years. When they came there, they established libraries and had thousands and thousands of manuscripts when it comes to mathematics and philosophy and history and art and architecture. And many people who studied under them from all over Europe took a lot of the information, took it back to their places in England and in Germany and France and places like that. Many people consider, when you look at the evidence, that the European Renaissance, the Renaissance that we talk about today, was really given a spark by the Moors, who were there with education well before the Renaissance started. Want to remember the Moors today. The Moors.
I was on mute. That lady's YouTube channel is that one here, Dana Smith. Actually, I think she has two, but it's Black and Education. Now, it says that she is an author, historian, and educator. So she does have that website, Black and Education. And when you go on her website, you do have some articles. And here you have Al-Andalus, Moors in Spain. So I started reading that one, but then I had to go to work. So here's the link for all purposes. But she was very careful in that video that I played. I don't think she used the word black. She used the term Muslim. Now, she did use that picture that we see here. So she's implying that they were black, but she didn't say it. So she's careful. She is careful. And let's look at the article. Now here it says Moors were often depicted with dark skin, and at times the word Moor was synonymous with black. See, she's very careful, you know. Oh, I forgot about. I'm sorry. Dana Smith is the founder of Red and Black Inc. LLC and blackandeducation.org. She was born in Washington, D.C. Okay, I want to look at what's the education? Oh, there it is. So she was born in Washington, D.C. Hey, V. Bennett, that's your cousin right there. She's from D.C. and is a proud mother of one son. Her company is dedicated to uplifting our children and communities through education and history. She has a bachelor's degree, probably Bachelor of Science degree. It's funny when you have, a BS degree. Reminds me of Dr. Wassim Muhammad, denigrating Africana Studies degree. So, and she has an MBA, which, if I'm not mistaken, stands for Masters of Business Administration from a HBCU, and has over 20 years of experience in corporate America. Okay, so that was just for the record. Now let's go back to the article. Let me make sure it is sharing. Yes, it is sharing. So I don't need that one. I don't need that one. I need that. And this one, I have it already. And okay, we're good to go. So that arrow is large enough for you to understand where the thing was going on. The Iberian Peninsula. So the Iberian Peninsula was the center of the Moorish territory, but the Islamic net was stretched from there to what is today the Middle East. The Iberian Peninsula, what is today Spain and Portugal, was inhabited in some way for well over 700 years by Islamic people we call the Moors. You see how careful she is? You see? She's very careful. She's not loose and irresponsible like most of these Moors running around. If some of these Moors can hear us, let them know they can put up, man. So that's the link to get on the panel. You only need to use a webcam, that's all. From 711 AD to 1492 AD, there was an Islamic rulership presence on the peninsula, an era the Moors called Al-Andalus. Who were the Moors? René Basset, PhD, in her Moorish literature books, describes them this way. The region which extends from the frontiers of Egypt to the Atlantic Ocean and from the Mediterranean to the Niger, was in ancient times inhabited by a people to whom we give the general name of Berbers, but whom the ancients, particularly those of eastern portion, knew under the name of Moors. They were called Maurici by the Greeks, said Strabo, in the 1st century AD, and Mori by the Romans. You see, so this is not Native American terms. Native African terms. Black people didn't come up with those terms to describe themselves. This is a European term. Many times we'll say, oh, black is a European term. When Africa is a European term. Well, the term they use is a European term as well. David is in the place to be as well. They are of Libyan origin and form a powerful and rich nation. Now, from the time of Kemet, like about 1000 BC, the Libyans were white. So if they try to claim that they magically became black in the 1st century, 1000 years later, more power to them. And let them show us the evidence. This name of Moors is applied not only to the descendants of the ancient Libyans and Numidians who live in a nomad state or in settled abodes, but also to the descendants of the Arabs. The descendants of who? Of the Arabs, who in the 8th century brought with them Islamism. You see, that PhD is careful as well. That PhD is not reckless. So besides the caption of this painting or drawing, nowhere in the article does it say that they are black, that they were black. So Moorish people would have come from as far south as what is today Western Africa, from the top of Africa, all the way from the Atlantic Ocean through Egypt, and from what is today Saudi Arabia and the Middle East. They would have had a similar belief system and practices, and would have traveled across desert areas, to trade and to reach either Spain or other parts of the Islamic world. And here, the rock, see that? The rock of Gibraltar is named after Tariq ibn Ziyad, who captured the initial part of the Iberian Peninsula on behalf of the Moors. Today it is controlled by the British military, as it is the only entrance into the Mediterranean Sea from the Atlantic Ocean. So that's the Tariq dude that they try to claim he was a black guy, but he was still whipped, publicly humiliated. And Runok Rashidi, as you can hear in the intro, clearly stated that the Africans who ruled the Moors were treated in a second-class manner. The Moors first came to the Iberian Peninsula. Did I share that link? Hey, Jeheru has joined us. Please stay with us, Jeheru. I'm going to finish with that article. Yes, I've shared it. The article is there. So, the Moors first came to the Iberian Peninsula in 711 AD and as a swarm of Islam swept across northern Africa. They brought with them an army of knowledge and books. While the conquest of the peninsula included wars, there were many areas that gave up without a fight, such that the invasion was not as bloody as some may have reported in history. Here comes a euphemism, but hey. The thing that stands out the most to me is how the Moors contributed to the Renaissance that took place in Europe. The Renaissance is said to have begun in the 1300s and lasted into the 1600s, beginning in Italy and spreading throughout the rest of Europe. It was an explosion of thought and ideas. It included a revival of Greek thought, grammar, rhetoric, history, and philosophy in Europe. These Greek foundations, however, have an Egyptian root, as many of these ideas were studied in ancient Egypt and documented there in writing. You know what, man? I don't think I need to. You know what? Hey, for the record, man, let's finish with this, man. I stopped even earlier, when I came across the article. But I know about the article just because the video came in my feed. Egyptian medical papyrus, for example, the logical approach to medical treatments that is often attributed to later societies was already in use in ancient Kamit Egypt in 1600 BC or earlier. This medical papyrus, brought by an antiquities buyer, Edwin Smith, is an example of how to treat and approach trauma patients, reviewing 48 cases of various types of injuries, diagnosis, and treatment. The medical treatise, although written in 1600 BC, was probably copied from an earlier document that dated back at least 900 to 1200 years earlier. Dating from the 17th century BC, the Edwin Smith papyrus is the oldest known surviving trauma text in history. Another first, some people ain't gonna happy. They're gonna say, the author is an Egyptomaniac. This ancient medical treatise is credited as containing the earliest known scientific writings on rational observation in medicine. Man, another first again. A total of 48 cases are presented in the papyrus, of which 6 deal with injuries to the spine. Von Middenthrop, J.J., and all. When the newly converted followers of Islam came into control of the library at Alexandria, Egypt, they were in possession of one of the most valuable repositories of knowledge in the world. There was, of course, destruction, but a lot of information was retained, which included ancient Egyptian and ancient Greek writings, a more spark for the Renaissance. As they solidified their empire from Baghdad to Damascus, from Cairo to Fez, Morocco, and into the Iberian Peninsula, they also established centers of learning throughout their territories. Libraries were attached to mosques that contained thousands and thousands of manuscripts on everything from history to philosophy to mathematics and more. Arab scholars, not Black Moorish ruler scholars, would translate these manuscripts into Latin and encourage the study of these books. The use of the numeric system that we currently employ today was introduced. Numbers written as 0, 1, 2, 3, blah, blah, blah. They were already in use in civilizations further to the east. Imagine doing complex multiplication problems with Roman numerals. This made it easier to build complex buildings and to further the application of math. The use of paper was also more freely brought to the Iberian Peninsula, and it was used regularly in Baghdad and throughout the Islamic eras. Now, what we call paper, we have papyrus, and that goes way before, whatever is mentioned about, whatever period is talking about right now. But anyway, way before Islam, for lack of better words, way before the Quran. This allowed for the transmission of ideas and for the analysis of thoughts more readily, as paper was easier to transfer from one person to another. This is the mosque in Cordova. Damn, that Siri thing, I really don't like it. Hold on. First, when that Siri thing comes in, whatever sound is playing on my computer, if somebody's talking, I don't hear. I only hear the Siri thing. Somebody knows how to deactivate Siri, please tell me. The mosque in Cordova was converted to a cathedral after the Moors were expelled from the Iberian Peninsula. Many people came from various places throughout Europe to study in Islamic learning centers, to translate books into their own languages, and to carry that knowledge back to England, Germany, France, Italy, for example. This was at a time when mathematics, history, philosophy, art, etc. were not widely disseminated or discussed in Europe. The Moorish people also built mosques on a grand scale and made improvements to bridges and agriculture that made what is today Spain the envy of the European world, and encouraged pilgrims to visit Moorish areas to seek knowledge and education. In one of many examples, a man named Gerbert, who would become the future Pope of the Catholic Church, was born in France around 940 AD. He was sent to live in a monastery by his parents and grew up studying and learning in that nourishing environment. While Gerbert in French, was still studying at Aurillac, a Spanish nobleman, Count Borel of Barcelona chanced to visit the monastery, and at his departure, the youthful prodigy went his train. In the 10th century, the Moorish schools of Spain were already famous, particularly for their prowess in mathematics, and Gerbert, who was a born geometer, embraced eagerly the the opportunity of imbibing all their lore. During his stay in Spain, he studied at Barcelona and also he was seen under Arab teachers at Seville and Cordova, and made unusual progress in mathematics and natural science. Because of his acquaintance with these recondite themes, then practically unknown in Western Europe, and also on account of some marvelous mathematical inventions, for instance, an organ driven by steam that he was credited with. The future pope was dubbed a necromancer, and it was gravely asserted that he had entered into compact with the devil. It literally says compact here, so I don't know if the author meant to write contact, but it was gravely asserted that he had entered into a compact with the devil, bartering his salvation for high worldly estate and unholy knowledge. In an example of how uneducated the general population was in Europe, the man who would eventually become Pope Sylvester the second, sorry, Pope Sylvester II, 999 to 1003 AD, was considered to have dealt in devilish deeds for studying math and science under the Moors. Stanley Lane Poole, in his 1886 book, The Moors in Spain, wrote, "The history of Spain offers us a melancholy contrast. 1200 years ago, Tarik the Moor added the land of the Visigoths to the long catalogue of kingdoms subdued by who? The Muslims. For nearly 8 centuries, under her Mohammedan rulers, you see, it doesn't say black Moorish rulers, it says Muslims, it says Mohammedan rulers, and Mohammedan was a term that they would use for Muslims, basically. Spain set to all Europe a shining example of a civilized and an enlightened state. Her fertile provinces, rendered doubly prolific by the industry and engineering skill of her conquerors, bore fruit bore fruit. Well, I would say 100-fold. You're supposed to have the N when it's a vowel that follows, but maybe there's an exception for the H. Maybe when it's a silent H, but let's not do grammar. Cities innumerable sprang up in the rich valleys of the Guadalquivir, sorry, and the Guadiana, whose names, and names only, still commemorate the vanished glories of their past. Art, literature, and science prospered as they then prospered nowhere else in Europe. Students flocked from France and Germany and England to drink from the fountain of learning which flowed only in the cities of the Moors. The surgeons and doctors of Andalusia were in the van of science. Women were encouraged to devote themselves to serious studies, and the lady doctor was the unknown among the people of Cordova. Mathematics, astronomy, and botany, history, philosophy, and jurisprudence were to be mastered in Spain and Spain alone. Practical work of the field, the scientific methods of irrigation, the arts of fortification and shipbuilding, the highest and most elaborate products of the loom, graver, and the hammer, the potter's wheel. We have the god Khnum, the Necher Khnum, in the temple in Waset or Thebes, and it's thousands of years old. But anyway, the potter's wheel and the mason's trowel were brought to perfection by the Spanish Moors. In the practice of war, no less than the arts of peace, they long stood supreme. Their fleets disputed the command of the Mediterranean with the Fatimids, while their armies carried fire and sword through the Christian marches. The Cid himself, the national hero, long fought on the Moorish side, and in all save education, was more than half a Moor. Whatsoever makes a kingdom great and prosperous, whatsoever tends to refinement and civilization, was found in Muslim Spain. The Renaissance, was indeed an explosion of thought and idea, but it had a Moorish spark. And here you do have some references. What is this thing here? Oh, it's about the Edwin Smith Papyrus. You have a book here, When the Moors Ruled Europe. So that's the trick that those Moors are doing, misleading you with those terms. It was a bit long, but at least we know I went through the whole thing. So obviously the private message saying that Shaka Amos is teaching that Moorish history. Is it true? Feel free to speak, Brother Jeheru. And feel free to speak also, Sister RP, whenever you want to interject. How you doing, Jeheru?
Doing good. How about you, man?
Oh, I'm chilling, brother.
What you saying about Shaka
Andrea
Amos?
Burnett is in the place to be. Well, I've obviously a message in private chat saying Shaka teaching that Moorish history. Oh, it was me. Okay, but it's only 1K. When you put 2Ks, it's Shaka
Oh, okay.
Amos.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
you.
No, I'm
Yeah,
not
I was
teaching it.
joking when I
It
said
is.
that. Yeah. But it's good that you read that because I mean, I never, I never came across that or whatnot. But man, it's ridiculous. I'm glad you went to the etymology and all that because I had looked that up, and I read that and I'm like, where are they getting this from about black means pale? I mean, and to be honest, the Moors are not the only group of people that's saying that. You have other people that's saying that too, and I'm like, okay, where are y'all getting this from? Because it's not in the etymology. The etymology actually says the opposite. I don't know. I think I may have heard somebody say that they got it from Black's Law, but see, I haven't went that far, to look and see like if that coincides with that term. But it's like this
Well,
right here, man.
Black Laws Dictionary, for those who don't know, they love to quote that. They like to act like
Hmm.
they're so deep with the law, but when it comes to the law, a Moorish nationality is not recognized. Otherwise we'll see that in the nationality field of a
Hmm.
passport. I mean, it is in etymology, but in the Middle English, but we've seen, if you have time to go back in the Old English, it does say that black basically meant the same thing that it means today. And in the Middle
Yeah.
English, it says that the Old English possibly is the origin of the Middle English, and one of the meaning what we know was pale and all that, but
Hmm.
that's not the main meaning. What I'm saying? So they're doing everything to get away from that. Just like the Hebrew Israelites, they would say, "Oh, he's an Israelite. I'm an Israelite." They use that term rather than use black or African. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's
And
an identity crisis. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
it really is, and it's very disingenuous when they do that because here's the thing about language and different terms, especially today, because you have these different languages that have been deciphered over a period of time. And let's look at the English language. You can go to the English language and look up a definition for a word, and you have many different meanings for that one word, right? And based on how a person wants to use it, they can use it in different ways, and they can be deceptive about it, right? That's one of the things about the English language, But at the same time, when you use it, there's context and there's a certain way that you use certain words within a specific context, and if you don't understand that, or you're not able to see when somebody's doing that, they can trick you, like what the Moors are doing. I mean, it don't when you go to the etymology, like it's not adding up. And the thing is, you know everything else about that definition of the word black is pointing to the same thing as what we have today as far as the definition. It's pointing to the same thing. So
Yes.
it goes back to another topic that we've touched on about black being a whole social construct and all that. I mean, all that stuff. Just reading what you read, right? Even going back with the etymology at this point, and I don't use this word a whole lot, but at this point, the people who saying that's pseudo.
Yeah, I mean, some people used to say race is a social construct, and some people would say, that black is a social construct. And to me, it's funny, but it's all sorts of narratives and talking points to get away from the term African, to get away from the term black. And indeed, like you said, and it's not just in English language, in any language, the context does matter. For example, we have that a 5% Christian apologist or supporter of Christian apologists, that dude called Rob Boone. He said, talking about me, he violated me. I mean, why would you use such a strong word, man? But the last thing I wanted to say, yes, in Spanish, we do have Negro, Spanish slash Portuguese. In Arabic, we have Aswad, Sauda, and in Medunecher, we have Kem. So the word black, or what we translate as black, did exist for a color, and it was used to describe people. You know what I'm saying? But those guys, they just rely on the English language. How are you doing, young hero?
Yeah, what's going on, peoples?
Hey, chilling, brother. What's good with you, man?
Ain't not much. Everything good?
Yeah, we're dealing with the falsehood being spread to our people. The Moors have been teaching this stuff for 100 years, man. Since
Yeah.
1913.
It seems like they more in the public eye now, because I never really used to hear about them that much, but I guess I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, they are
Can I?
deep, They were
Yeah,
there before the NOI. Was that you, Sister RP?
oh, they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Sister.
I just wanted to jump in real quick. Um, so I have a pocket, I admit, version of Black's Law Dictionary in black. It could be because it's a pocket dictionary, but black by itself isn't in here. It's in here in compound words like blacklist, black letter law, blackmail suit, and black acre. Um, but what I since studying the Medu Neter, honestly, since studying the Medu Neter, I started to understand that on learning or understanding etymology was important, and I have begun a quest to get. I have 3 Latin to English dictionaries. I have the resources Shaka told me, Gardner and Allen. I have been looking for a proper Greek to English dictionary, and I understand that German to English is probably appropriate as well. What I think is missing from the Moore's presentation is the foundation that, hey, this is my understanding, not absolute. Because even with Medu Neter, we've all heard the discussions about how some people say it isn't deciphered, some people say it is, and then people argue over glyphs. Okay, great, got it. So but we all understand when we hear those talks that it's that person's purview. But when you present as Moors do, from an absolute position to establish legality, that is problematic. And then we see even in law, even with, say, for instance, the Supreme Court in the United States, you'll have a panel of judges that hear arguments, and then that collective of judges will have different opinions because of their how they decipher, their discretion. So I think that would be more important for them to say, because I know a lot of people, including me at one time, I was curious about not more science, but what they were saying, because I do participate in pro se law. I have I have a lawsuit right now that I'm actually writing a brief for as I listen to this broadcast. But I, again, coming across people that don't know, I have to say this is what I've determined. And that I think they should do that. And I think they should also just span out this understanding and say, hey, well, let's go to several sources and see what this information says across the board. That's what I was going to add real quick.
And that's what's up. And Black Laws Dictionary, once again, it deals with law mainly, you know what I'm saying? So the jargon, that's not like a typical dictionary, to find out etymology or definitions when it comes to grammar. But yeah, feel free, young Heru or Jeheru, whoever wants to go on.
Yeah, that's true about what you're saying with the Black's Law, man. Because here lately, like probably within the past year or two, I've been studying different things about law, right? And when you get into the law and definitions, a lot of the definitions. Give me one second.
And for the record, why Jeheru? Okay, I think he's back now. But a sister said, some people said nature has not been deciphered. That's an extreme minority worldwide. In the conscious community, there are many people who are misinformed and will be, saying that. But worldwide, and once again, I've never heard a PhD from an accredited school saying that it hasn't been deciphered. Go ahead, Jeheru.
Yeah, yeah. What I was gonna say, when you get into law and different things like that, man, um, a lot of definitions. It's a funny thing because in law, for whatever reason, man, they have. It seems like they got the authority to change the meaning of certain words just because it's in law. Because like you can look in law and look at certain definitions when it applies to certain laws, and it wouldn't be the same thing as a general term. You know what I mean? So like they
It's,
change
it's,
those
it's, it's the same in
definitions.
French. It's same in French, and
Hmm.
sometimes you wonder, did they do that on purpose? So it's so complicated because it's so complicated that you will need a lawyer or a legal advisor. I mean, the jargon, indeed, some words that we use on an everyday basis. When it comes to law, it doesn't have the same connotation or meaning.
Right. And I think that to me, I think that's it's deceptive. You know what I mean? Because you can be listening to uh, a lawyer. You may be discussing the case or a certain law, but until you go to those definitions in that section of the law, you may or may not have the right meaning of that term. Because I'll just give an example, like in a lot of the I think it's chapter 15 in U.S. law. You know, now a corporation could could mean a corporation like Walmart or McDonald's or whatever, but at the same time, an individual could mean a corporation in certain senses, depending on how they define it in that section. But in a general sense, we know that a corporation and an individual is not the same thing. But in law, depending on how they use it and how they want to frame it, they can actually change it to make it mean what it's is what they want it to mean. And that's what they've done. I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah, it's quite technical indeed, quite technical. But as you can see, brothers and sisters, the more's on put up. If there's any more listening, here's a link to get on the panel because you'll be talking all that stuff with people who agree with you. You know what I'm saying? The people that you are following like blind groupies. And even if it's not on this panel, you may learn a thing or two by engaging with people who don't share your worldview. You know what I'm saying? Because me
Hmm.
personally, not to my own home, I'm known for putting on people's panel. You know what I'm saying? And even if they barely let me speak, and I speak like twice as less or three times as less as them, I still make my point across. And I hear their argument, even though for the most part I know their arguments. I've been hearing it for the last 20 years or so. But if you're just with people who believe as you, then you may get some emotional damage like Sabia Bay. Sabia Bay, got to learn a new level to find out that Cleopatra was Greek, and what I'm saying, he found out that um Ibn Khaldun was racist, you know what I'm saying? Because he was posing proudly in front of his statue. So, you know, it can be quite
Yeah.
shocking. Go ahead, young
And
hero.
this dude you just called out that was racist was a so-called Moor.
He was from Tunisia. No, he was not a Moor. Uh,
Oh,
I never heard him being labeled as a Moor. Now, maybe some Europeans, who knows? But,
so
I don't think they would have because he wasn't like a warrior or something like
so
that. He was
what
like
what
yeah.
do what do he get for posting a picture with that guy? What's his influence on him?
Because Zuckerberg, or however you pronounce it, Mark Zuckerberg was he's studying him. That guy Ibn Khaldun is known as the world's first
That's crazy.
sociologist. He's quite respected, by many people. Just like
So
Gandhi is respected, but he was negrophobic. He was anti-black.
yeah, like I can't speak for everybody, you know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to be no hero, you know what I'm saying? Because just like I said, you could lead somebody to the water, but you can't teach them how to drink, And that's a lot of people in the world, sorry to say, because I done had all kind of experience, and every time I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, they show me that they're not worthy. So, and the society and the world has shows me, you know what I mean? That's what they are, regardless of how I try or whoever try, you know what I mean? Everybody's gonna do what they want and go with who they want. But it's just a thing when people have so much conviction in what they saying, and they try to make people to believe that their narrative is actually reality. That's the sad part, because I already, like, I just peeped their game, you know what I mean? I just gotta check them out 2 3 times, and I already know what it is with him. I mean, the other day I was in his chats, and somebody, after I said it, somebody said, Heru, can you believe this guy? Because every 2 minutes the guy's begging. I can't even listen to a conversation he's having, because and I told him, like, no grown man don't do that, bro. Like, if you want to do what you do, be happy in you doing. Nobody don't ask you to come and do nothing. You know what I mean? So you making it seem like you trying to benefit somebody from some life changing information. You know what I mean? And that's why I don't get these most, like, their substance. Like, what's the agenda? You know what I mean? What's the glory at the end of the war? Because what are you really into, bro? Because I don't these malls, if they was that significant, their history would be still here today. You know what I mean? They whatever they contributed to civilization would be here. They would have some kind of land, some kind of records about being somebody. So for you to be trying to claim this and trying, and it's not just him, like you said, it has a group of them. And when you do that, it keeps spreading, you know what I mean? And I don't know, like I said, it's a fairy tale. A lot of all this is fairy tale. All these religions and all of this make believe Hebrews and whoever, whatever agenda they playing, life passing them by, and everybody has their day. So I really don't get it. Like, people don't. I don't know if they never lose anybody in life, but they act like they don't get it. But some people
Well,
agenda is more important to them than anything.
yeah, well, for Sabir, babe, before I let the brother, if you better add on, Sabir been makes a living out of it, and he's been making a living for many years, if not, a decade or
That's
two. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
that's great. It's
that's
just
it.
like
Yeah,
a church. Yeah,
yeah, that's his main hustle. That's how he's
yeah.
been living. So, but and
So
if
just
he's
so you all confuse people in the world.
Um,
yeah, yeah, go ahead, sister.
oh, you were gonna say something, Shaka?
No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
So just so I can give more context, I think I will to what I think is happening. If anyone watching in this discussion has heard of Yvette Carnell, so Yvette Carnell is a lady that is the predominant face of the
ADOS.
ADOS. I remember watching her years ago. And this is before I got more understanding. I was developing some, and I understood what she was saying. And I think this is the approach that the Moors are also trying to take. She said something one time that in order for ADOS people to get access to what typical white Americans get, economics, access to land, so forth and so on. She said, quote, we have to become white. So I don't believe she meant ethnically or biologically white. I think she meant that would have to be a legal position or standing of ours to become white, because again, in America, based on what I know about history, European Americans would come over from Europe lose their ethnic or their geographical classification from Europe, right? And then be brought under the umbrella of just being white. And then being white allowed them to get homesteads, so forth, so on. We know the deal with chattel slavery as well, but more importantly, it gave access to land, which then turned into capital, right? And capitalism. You could leverage off that land. So it sounds like that could be what the Moors are also trying to do, but in a more, like you say, deceptive way. But so I'm just trying to equivocate it, because if they're trying to say black means pale, then to be pale is to be white. So they're trying to say technically we're white and then try to ease in, okay, well then we're allowed certain things legally. I could be wrong,
But
but it
Yeah,
sounds like that.
that's not what they were saying. That's not what they
they
were
ain't
saying.
going to use white. They
Yeah.
might say
Okay.
Yeah.
Asiatic or whatever.
Yeah. The reason why he said it means white, is because he's just trying to tell us that it's wrong for us to use the term black to describe ourselves. But let me just show before I let brother V Bennett out on. I want to show you. I've shared that link in the chat. To be a pseudo praising anti-black Ibn
But
Khaldun.
no,
I want to show
you
you what
can't just.
denial is. So here in the chat, see that video here 5 days ago. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a? That person here, Jimmy Bullet, wrote, I'm sorry, but these quotes are wrong, because I've quoted Ibn Khaldun from the Duke University and also from the book that Biabe showed on the screen and also held in his hand. So you don't get no better than that. When you use your quote unquote opponent's source. So he said, and for those who haven't seen it, you have the link to the video, but Ibn Khaldun basically said that black people cannot be considered human beings. See, that black people are close to that black people are close to dumb animals, and a few other things as well. So that person here wrote, I'm sorry, but these quotes are wrong. Even Khaldun never said that black people cannot be considered as human beings. Actually, he had a theory about climate and effects of the climate on the human behavior. And he clearly refutates some theories of al-Masudi that explains those behavior by a difference of nature and a weak brain. Ibn Khaldun says, hold on, what's going on here? Ibn Khaldun says that black people who live in soft climates have normal behavior, and it's the proof that it is not a difference of nature. So that person seems to focus only on that quote that says that black people cannot be considered human beings, but all the other quotes, they are swept under the rug. So I wrote, source up or be quiet. And I thought there was another reply. Hold on. US first. Yeah, there it is. So I wrote source up or be quiet. I didn't want to say source up or shut up, And that person wrote the Mukaddima itself. Masudi. Now that person is obviously French speaker. So I'm going to translate in real time. Masudi had went to look for the cause that produced among Negroes this lighted spirit. This I don't know how to translate that word, but it's a word that means like when you're not careful, when you're kind of reckless, but it's like a not very negative word. It's not a very strong word. So, and this inclination, this extreme inclination to get it like festivities or joyfulness or whatever. It's a bit difficult for me to translate in real time like that. But for all solution, he's reporting only one word or one speech from Galian and Yaqub ibn Ishaq el-Kindi, according to which this character comes from a weakness of the brain, from which will come a weak weakness of intelligence. This explanation is without value and doesn't prove anything. God rules whoever he wants. And then for strange reason, we have Quran, Surah 2nd, verses 136. So I don't know what that person is getting with that, but you know, that person here is focused only on one point from Ibn Manzur. Sorry, Ibn Manzur, Ibn Khaldun. Hey, commence pas à m'énerver là. Not all these other points. So here I reply, you wrote these quotes are wrong. It looks like you lied because they don't suit you. Are you supporting the claims of Sabir Bey? Do you also believe that he was black? Do you believe that Europe was ruled by black Moorish rulers from the 7th till the 14th century? And of course, I didn't get any reply. But Vibede, sorry for keeping you waiting. Feel free to add on, brother. We have Afimi in the place to be. I saw you. Which panel was it? Oh damn. Was it Uncle Shug? No, I saw you.
Probably Pan Africanism Strikes Back or something.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I did write the message in the chat, but then you left. Yeah. But Vibede was there first, so Vibede, feel brother.
And what's up, y'all? Everybody. Hotep. Peace.
Hotep.
Peace. Yeah. I don't know, man. This stuff. I think. I'm just like, I really respect Jewish people that speak about anti-Semitism and don't play any games about it and don't accept any type of excuse about it, because they are very aware of how old it is and how insidious it is and how stupefying and dumbifying people will be that try to pretend it away somehow in any way. And you could just be dumb and not even be aware of it, what it is, and just be so out there that you could do it and not even be aware of it. Just like what they say, sometimes they say Farrakhan might say some anti-Semitic things. He doesn't even know what he's saying is anti-Semitic because he got some pseudo shit from somebody else or whoever he aligns himself with. He just believed that was the truth. And it's the same thing with anti-blackness, man. I mean, people know what anti-blackness is. It's real. But it's so insidious to where they will show you how they have doubts in it, or show you how they're so uncomfortable with just accepting it through their language. Like, they will try to convince you that North Africa didn't have any black people in it. And then they will try to convince you that those black people they're not the same race as the ones below the Sahara. No, there's no connection. They will try to convince you of that. And we've seen it. We have seen it. Then you go to the Cleopatra movie. You go to Cleopatra and everybody knows, okay, look, I don't really care what Cleopatra really looked like because there's so many black people in Egypt's history. We don't have to fight over one person. But if there's a possibility that she could have had a black mother, they will spend hours trying to convince you how that could be not possible at all, even though they don't know who her mother is. It's like, so, and then, so there's so many levels dealing with anti-blackness where there will be some kind of ridiculous rumor or lie put out there to try to wash it away and make it seem like it didn't exist there. It doesn't apply here. And it's like, no, this shit applies every single place. And then they will tell you how, we went over this before, Shaka. The word black doesn't mean that. But the word black in Spanish means Negro. Then it's obvious that's what the word meant. Black, Negro, slave. Who were the slaves? And then they try to tell you that no, it wasn't the people in the North. The people in the North, they weren't slaves. The black people in the North, they were never slaves because all the people always look like they look today. They're all the same people. Those people didn't migrate into Africa. They didn't. There's nothing. They always look like this in North Africa. But then you have Islamic, enslavement in North Africa, invasion of North Africa. Then you have the Ottomans right after that. And none of these people are even related to them. No. They're not. So anytime somebody attacked an African and put him into slavery, any tool that they attacked a black person historically and put them into slavery, any landmass, any political sphere, anything, there will be this pushback to try to make it disappear and go away. You know, and it just exists on this pushback exists on so many levels. It is just mind blowing and retarded. It's sad, but the saddest thing about it is like when you see your own people fall for it, because it's such a big movement. You know, when you see your own people adopt the language of people that want to lie about history, you know, and you see them adopt their language and you see them adopt their arguments, and their arguments are not even strong arguments. It's just, you know, man. So I don't
I
know. The
like that.
Moors, to me, the Moors fall right
That's
into that basket. They're
yeah.
pathetic. They're just sickening, you
I
know.
was going to say I don't
But
know
it's
what
legal.
their agenda is, but it's like if somebody want to be whatever they want to be, like you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, when I look at it, black people all over the globe, even if black people have some kind of connection, everybody is born wherever they was born, and that's where they're gonna be considered from. That's where their family gonna be at. So if a person born in Trinidad, he's gonna say I'm a Trinidadian, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, his skin look just like somebody in America. Features. I see people all over the world and they look just like some people from other countries. You know what I mean? So regardless of how you feel about it, everybody else in the world that's not your complexion going to consider you black. You know what I mean? So you could call yourself whatever benefit you think that's gonna be to you in whatever lifetime. You know what I'm saying? I don't see no significance in it because, like I said, everything on a global scale is already identified as such. You know, just like the or aboriginals, like the Indians, the Native Americans, is already awarded that reward for being the people from the land. So regardless of how whatever you come up with, it's already people accounted for that on a global scale that's recognized by the people that run shit. You know what I mean? So unless you're willing to die for it and you don't have nothing to fight with, like you don't have no nation, you don't have no army, you don't have no scientists, you don't have no rockets and jets and yada yada. Like, so at the end of the day, you know what I mean, it blood, like I say, who's ever going to fall for it? It's people that's living in a fairy tale. You know what I mean? Reality is gonna pass them by, and if it don't have no significance into what you doing, it's that's what it's gonna be. You know what I mean? You still gotta wake up, go work, and provide for your family at the end of the day. So to each
But
their own.
real another thing somebody was saying is true. We don't study history for to produce justice. We're doing it to compete with each other, show off,
Yeah,
brag,
facts.
whatever, that we smarter than the other. And the other thing that he said, which is true, um, we're ashamed. Like our most recent history for the past 500 years has been that of, unfortunately, if we keeping it 1,000, it's been of defeat in a lot of ways. And people are going to do what's easiest to soothe themselves. So,
Yeah, it's like drugs. It's like narcotics. You know, like straight up. It's even worse than you know, or just as damaging or worse. You know, because you know it's really making people you know, that people are coming out of this thinking when you're forced to take your own identity and rip it away from yourself and then adopt another identity, it's people that's literally going crazy doing that because none of it makes any sense. You can't just take on someone else's identity and pretend that it's you, even if your history has been one of getting your ass kicked for the
Yeah,
last 100 years. It's healthier to accept it. It's healthier
yeah,
to accept that
reality.
reality than to try to switch over and pretend you had nothing to do with it. It's just, you know, that would be the total defeat if you do that. You would lose your mind trying to do it. And these guys lose their mind. They lose their mind. They can't communicate with anyone. If you just look at everything around them, everything around these people is destroyed. It's nothing different than saying like I'm a victim. Okay, it's nothing special being a victim. But a lot of victims go on to fight against that thing that victimized them. But then there's a small group that become that thing that victimized them, and it's like these guys, they're like, in my mind, they're like a form of that. It's like you got hustled, and so now I'm going to hustle somebody else, instead of just say, no, man, what are you talking about? That hustle, that never lasts. That hustle never lasts. It's just like dope dealing. It never lasts. The smart dope dealers get into it and know when they're getting out so they can avoid the radar. The dumb one is one with no plan that doesn't think it will never run out. That never thinks anyone will catch on. And when it comes to this Moorish stuff, this Black Hebrew Israelite stuff, and there's nothing personal against them, myself, this Nation Islam stuff, it's already ran its course. It's ran out. The holes are seen. It's just, and they don't get it. They're still trying to cling on to it. And when you still trying to cling on it to that thing, you're the one that's killing yourself. At that point, every failure that you have, it's your failure. It's not someone else's failure. No one else has done it to you. It's you have separated yourself through your kooky teachings, through your antisocial teachings. You have put yourself in a corner, and it's now you that you have to blame. And that's what these guys do. They don't want to be African. They put themselves, they're already a minority in America. They're already a minority. And then they say, I want to make myself more of a minority. I want to make myself the most extreme minority. And then I want to, the person that I've been calling the devil this time, I'm actually forced to have to deal with them because I alienated myself from everyone else that's like me. It is just, they back themselves into a corner, and you go crazy doing that, because that's what they're doing. I mean, and in that game, there's only a few hustlers at the top that win. Farrakhan's going to walk away from this winning. He's going to walk away. His image will be destroyed. They will release some information about him, the FBI, things like that later. I mean, you could guess this. Nobody knows for sure, but we could guess how this plays out. The FBI deals, pulls in, drags in, discuss, follows, spies on any individual or group that they ever have any reason to think there's a threat. Any reason. Any. And if you don't play ball with them, they start taking things from you. So to just see a guy like that exist with these kooky ass ideas, and you think they don't have no tapes of him, once he's dead, they're going to release some tapes, and it's not just him, because that's how insidious the game is with these guys. So there will be a few ones that come out of there. They got some millions. They got to sit on the top. They got to run the hustle for a while. But guess what? The mass majority of the followers leave there with nothing. Zero.
We'll see. Ain't nothing new, like I said, it's everybody has a brain. Well, I know everybody brain don't tick the same, so
well, the peer pressure, people have a brain, but the peer pressure is real. But I feel me, you've been there for a while. Feel free to speak, brother.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know how the other day I told you that I discovered the Nubian thing and the sovereign citizen thing around the same time in '97. Because it's linked, because they call themselves the Nubian nation of Moors, or at least they used to. I remember that. But it totally unrelated. I just happened to discover them around the same time. But that's how, when I saw this type of stuff online on like YouTube for the first time around 03, 04 or so, something like that. I don't know. I knew exactly where they got it from. Like this whole thing that they have of, these different definitions of the words going into Black's Law Dictionary and whatnot. They're two totally separate things that they just fuse together. That you'll find that type of thing when you're looking into the sovereign citizen stuff and whatnot, which is totally just something that white folks is doing, because the whole point of the sovereign citizen thing is to clarify that there was a citizenship prior to the 14th Amendment citizenship, which gave black people citizenship or whatever, and that the two are distinct. And there's all this stuff about the words meaning something different. That's why you hear them talking stuff about how if you get pulled over by the cops, don't say that you're driving, say that you're traveling and whatnot, because it's real silly because it doesn't really
As if
matter.
that works.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you're talking about with definitions of words and whatnot if you don't have an economy and a military behind you, to back all that stuff up. Even the white guys would go into courtrooms with that kind of silliness and get ran out of there and thrown in prison and whatnot. So it definitely wasn't going to be working for black folks. I remember they used to say black was the definition of it was white straight up. They weren't even saying pale. They were just saying black means white.
They speak in what Spanish?
Well,
No, it's
I heard.
blanco. It's white in Spanish.
Yeah, Blanco is words in Spanish.
Yeah.
I've heard, what's his name again? A crazy dude. King Noble, that one who said rape is revolutionary. He's not going to spend money. He's just going to take it. He said that on tape. And early on, when I knew about him, when he was making sense, he said he used to be a Moor, and he said, the Moors teach that they are the true white people.
Yeah.
And I remember that very well when he said that.
Yeah, I remember that too.
But then they probably mean that in the sense of law, because I saw that Donnie Williams wrote Lord Wuja. I don't know if you met Wujau, but Wujau at one point he was like in his argument trying to say that the ancient Egyptians were not black. He actually did that cliche talk of if you're in the black then it's bad. If you're in the red, blah blah blah. If you're in the black, like if you're in the white, then in terms of economy, that's a good thing. Being in the black is bad. And I'm like, man, what's he talking about? I mean, he tried everything. He even tried using an outdated Burge about his translation of Negro when it comes to Nehesi. But I mean, I dealt with that anyways. This is done deal. But yeah, some people, those talking points, man. There's a video, maybe some of you've seen it. It's like a father. His son was being like interrogated or searched by the police, and the father was recording. It's like like he was agitated, and when he was asked his name, I think he said, I don't have a name, I have a title. Like Christian has a name, and then at the end, they let the boy go home with the father, and people kept sharing that video. Like the father kicked so much knowledge with the law that they let his son go free. I'm like, what the f you talking about, man? Like this guy was in court also. He kept saying objection, objection. You have no jurisdiction, and that lasted for a while. But what was the outcome? But anyway,
it never works. And
yeah.
they all they ever do is just say, well, you didn't do this or that right. You had Corinne Gaines that was doing that, and she ended up getting killed in that situation by the cops, and that's all that they had afterwards. But that she just didn't do it right. She
Oh,
was going
is it the one that was with her daughter?
son.
Son. Okay, yeah.
Where the cops came in and
I didn't
shot
even
her
know
up.
she was kicking that knowledge of the law, man. I thought
She heard the whole reason why the cops were at her door that day was because of some issue with her driving around without a license plate or something. She was doing
so
that.
she was into
Oh,
that
I didn't know
Moorish
that
thing
either.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeheru.
Yeah, I was saying I didn't know that, man. But what I've been learning, from that the sovereign citizen stuff, man. I put it like this: it's some truth to it, but they
There,
teaching it wrong. They teaching it wrong. A lot of it they got it wrong. A lot of the Moors they making up a lot of stuff. A lot of the stuff that they saying is not totally in. You know how you can twist and bend the truth because like it's almost like another religion or something. You just make up certain things. I mean, yeah, you can read law and you may interpret it how you interpret it, but is that what it actually means? You know what I mean? There's some truth to the stuff that they're saying, but they don't have the right understanding of it.
I
Because I've
was
been looking into some of the stuff, you know what I mean? And they a lot of stuff they got wrong. Like, as far as that the jurisdiction and all of that stuff like the driving without a license. You can do that, but you got to do it the right way, and they was doing it the wrong way.
I was gonna I was thinking that, and I'm glad you said that, because a friend of mine paid $200 to take a course for a remedy, a hoped for remedy called the
Look at,
Bill of Exchange.
oh yeah, I know what
Via
you're talking about.
you, yeah. So if I looked into it, I started to look into it, and she asked me to help her out since I practice law for myself, and I found it interesting that um, the documents they were using as a basis exist outside of the United States of America, right? So they
Hmm.
were using as their foundation a BOE that was established in Canada. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, like this in and of itself has not just different jurisdiction, but that's a different type of governance. That's still under the crown, right? So how you gonna I was like, you know, essentially people want freedom, and I get that too. Technically, we should be able to just move around and, like Jaden Smith said, I'm a citizen of the planet. I was born on this planet, Yeah, true. But
Yeah.
at the same time, that's not the case. You're subjects. We still are unfortunately subjects to a system
Mm-hmm.
that has precedents. Not only that, but like my mom says, dead men have no rights. So you trying to face off with people that have all the munitions, all the tools on their side. What
Mm-hmm.
fight are you really fighting? And we have to get more selective too with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and people have to understand sometimes there's rules and regulations for reasons, like it don't make sense that people would be able to do things like that because when it comes down to it, it's you that have to be on the road. Like people, how people gonna be accountable for anything if there's no reference to connect them to whatever situation they're in? So in saying that, like some people, like I understand what they're talking about as far as moving around, but like she said, you in a system. You know what I mean? You're not nowhere out in free land, just living your life out the grid. Like what I mean? You under these people system where they have a constitution with rules and laws, and it makes sense because people would be just able to do you anything and get away with it if there wasn't no license plates and no driver's license and yada yada. So in saying that, it's always a reason behind rules and regulations.
You got to have a nation, an economy, military behind you with this stuff, or it just doesn't
Mhm.
work. You
Yeah.
can't be going up into some home talking about I'm just gonna stay here, and if they come and tell me I gotta get out of the house, I'm just gonna use certain secret words and whatnot, and they'll allow me to keep the house or whatever. Uh, you, mm-mm. The whole
Yeah,
thing with
talk is cheap.
yeah, the whole thing
Talk is
with what these folks have set up is that they have a way to enforce, all of this stuff. So if you don't have a way to enforce what you're talking about, it's meaningless.
But brothers and sisters, there's some of there's so many things you hear, and I forgot that. But that debate of South Cincinnati versus Alim Bay.
Hmm.
Now I don't know, remember which round it was, but Alim Bay, who is a Moor, maybe not the Temple Moor, but he's a Moor. At one point, he was reading something, some legal stuff, some law stuff, and he was basically saying, in summary, that if somebody is in jail, you can fill some application, so the guy will be free, he will be released, like under your responsibility, like you vouch for the guy. And then I remember when it was said his turn, he said, "Yeah, you go ahead and go ahead and fill the application, man." Everybody was laughing and stuff like that. And one sister was like, "What do you do? What do you do?" I mean, my
Mm.
goodness, man.
Yeah,
But
just like that.
if anybody want to take the time and watch it, at one point you will hear him talking about you can fill an application, basically to if somebody.
Yeah, you know
Go ahead, young
how
hero.
said he one of his best quotes is everybody always talking about they know God. So you say you got his number? Call him on the freeway because I got some questions for him because everybody always say they know God. So call him up.
Well, indeed, when we read those literature, particularly the Bible, because the Quran, we don't have miracles like that, but the Bible, burning bush, what I'm saying, talking directly, Mount Sinai, he's even writing with his own hand, what I'm saying, they always have interaction, what I'm saying. Now
Yeah.
we don't have Jack, and some Christian church, they do the stage thing like healing people and like speaking in tongues, stuff like that. And this Israelite acting like as long as they follow these old school so-called laws, then it's gonna be all good. The laws that they don't even respect anyway. Except when it comes to having sex with the girls who have
Minus.
passed the flower of their age. That one there, they're very. And once again, let me say it every now and then. I want to know how old the girl was. The girl that was sexually abused or molested by Tuzayak's cousin, because he's been in jail for about a decade now. You see, so it looks like the crime was very serious. So the girl must have been quite young. But keep going, brothers and sisters.
I don't know, man. I think it's all terrible. I think it's all terrible, man. And I just, you know, I hope that there's enough people having these conversations that can point out how how sickening these kind of beliefs are. Because in my mind, you just have to call them sickening to be very clear. You know, don't give quarter to them because you got to understand if you give quarter to these things, hold on. If you give quarter to them, your child may pick up one of these beliefs. See, that's how dangerous it is. And once they pick up these little kooky Dr. York books, Nation of Islam book, I mean, yo, it's nothing personal, but people waste their entire lives. And these things are anti-social. They're antisocial. Now, it's bad enough that society it can be antisocial in general enough towards certain groups of people, minorities and things like that, and black people. But you don't need to be the answer is not being antisocial yourself. That's just like the death blow. You know, the goal is to figure out like how the society doesn't function the same way all across the globe, and how there's a lot of other people that are just like you that are happy to see you, happy to get it down with you, happy to share with you, happy for your presence on earth, happy to share knowledge with you, these kind of things, not to become cultish, and so when you're a minority, you don't have time to waste. When you're an oppressed person, a person whose family is coming out of a lineage of oppression, who's been ripped off of out of economy, ripped out of land, ripped out of your entire life, your entire background, right? You don't have time to waste. And these cults are there to give you a last blow, to make the last bit of time you have to waste be stolen from you. Again, anything, any essence any idea that you wanted to get back what you lost, even if it's just a little thing about your religion, even if it's a little thing about your history, they come out there and say, yeah, we're going to help you understand your history. We're going to help you get your old culture back. And the trick of it is that no, they're there to step on that last little bit of hope you have. And, that is like sick. That's just sick. So, I think people need to be clear about it and stop accepting it. Stop thinking that it makes us strong to accept stupidity and lies. I think it's terrible, and it's one of the things that holds back our community in every way. Like if you notice, these groups, they never want you to do what other people do. Like for example, if you're dealing with reparations, they don't want you to focus on reparations the way somebody like the UN says, yeah, African Americans need reparations. African Americans should have reparations. And none of these groups talk about it. All these groups, what they do is start talking about how, well, the World Trade Organization was made by the colonialists and, blah, blah, blah. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Did you hear the UN said African Americans are owed reparations? It's just that clear. It doesn't matter what kooky person started the United Nations. What matters is everybody's utilizing the United Nations. That's what matters. And when they say something, that means you have some leverage, you know. But instead, what we're doing is getting into something else that nobody else does. Like, yeah, reparations. Oh, whoa, we got to make sure that our group get the reparations that other black people don't get it. They shouldn't get none of our reparations. It's like, what? Who said that's how reparations work in the first place, man?
Tarek
Like,
Nasheed,
it doesn't,
FBA.
it doesn't work that way. If you're in Jamaica, the nation is suing for reparations also on the UN level. They're using the same statutes. African Americans can do this, or supposed to be doing the same thing. Everybody's doing it, but somehow we have these groups in the U.S. that's acting like they don't quite understand how it's going to work. It's just, it's
Nope.
just so sad, man. You know, it's just so sad, and it just kind of, they almost like distractions. Um, what I do like about Yvette Cornell, the only thing I like about it is that they actually this guy, what's his name, Doctor Dandry, it's something.
Sandy
One
Sandy
Darity.
dude,
Darity.
Claude Anderson.
right?
Sandy
No,
Darity.
Sandy Darity, that actually is doing, providing data about, this community. And I think that's very useful. But I think, I'm gonna be honest with you, I think most of the people that are really working on reparations, really, they don't want to be associated with any type of foolishness that you may not even hear of them, because a lot of it is about collecting the data, putting it together collectively, this data, and presenting it to the United States government, like, very simply. And there's so many people that are out there to stop something as simple as that from happening, that if you really are working on it, you might not want to associate with. Just, I'm not saying the ADOS movement is that, but I'm just saying in general, if you're working on reparations, you probably would not want to be associated with any type of foolishness at all, because it only stops it. It only stops your seeking reparations. The reality is that the United States of America has to pay reparations in various forms to African Americans, an ethnic group. And that word shouldn't fool people. It doesn't mean they don't give a damn if you call yourself African American or not. If they call yourself Black American, they don't care. That's not even the point of any of those terms. The point is, you get to choose your term yourself. You could have been Afro American, even. You could be Black American. You could be African American. You could be any of those. The point is that they're talking about the people that are descendants of the slave trade, and also the people that experienced Jim Crow. That's what they're talking about, right? And so, whatever you call yourself, you could call yourself Kuki Kadaki Maki. If your family experienced that in the United States of America, you fall under that group. And a lot of times these people, the way that, like Tariq and them, the way they express it, they confuse a lot of people and make you think that it's so that it hinges on one term. Like, you got to
It's just
have a
words.
term to get it. It's like, are you crazy, man? Nobody on earth is doing it like that. It's like, so yeah. Uh,
Well, he also has a museum that has comedy shows on a weekly basis. So, I mean,
exactly. It's like, and Lord knows how he got the money to do those things. And I'm not hating on him, because I think he's silly. I think he's comedic. I mean, he kind of shows you, like, he puts all his stuff out there, like, I'm a hustler.
well, I'm glad you said that. He is comedic. Somebody told me years ago he got his job at a car dealership, and the guy told him, don't sell the bacon, sell the sizzle." And so that's what Tariq is doing. So that's part of that being comedic, is the sizzle, right? I think there was a point in time that he was trying to take some type of epistemological approach to finding out why we're in the place we're in. You know, you don't get people like Dr. Phil Valentine and Dr. Kaba on your documentaries without there being some type of serious um uh performance or some type of serious outcome being wanted. But that was then, right? But now he's combining like these documentary series with the hustle that you mentioned. The museum, I haven't been. I don't know if it's legitimate or not. I just know he got the money real quick, he got a place real quick, and now it's up and running, and it has more jovial activities than it does education activities. So it's like, can't really take that serious. And then on top of that, unfortunately, because a lot of Black people have been victimized to disdain learning. So he's also talking to people that don't do what we do, most likely. They're not, like Young Heru mentioned, instead of saying you're driving, you're traveling. People ain't, a lot of them people that follow him have never heard that before. We have. A lot of the people, they're not about to get into etymology. A lot of people don't even know words have origins. That's part of his, you know, um, dialectic, as far as what I hear the people that call into his show and stuff. But that deserves questioning, because there's so much splintering that occurs from his dialogue in regard to non-white African people in general, that I have a problem with personally. The United States definitely owes, you know, Black people in America for slave trade, Jim Crow, and going further, right? Because we still have extensions of Jim Crow in more refined ways. But African
Yeah, and
people
yeah,
globally are old. And to say that, oh no, it's this division part. That's the division part that I'm upset about.
yeah. There can't be any. There's no other. I mean, I'm not. Of course, Native Americans, they should always speak for themselves. But whatever groups those are, because that's a loads of different ethnic groups, different tribal groups, or whatever you want, clans. So they can speak for themselves. But outside of that one, there is no worse Holocaust that occurred in the Americas than that one. There's none. So there's no way for these nations, Brazil, Colombia, USA, Cuba, any of them, to navigate out of that issue. They have no way out of that. There's no way they can argue out of that, which is why pretty much most people said, yeah, that's true. The UN said the US. They didn't only say the US. They're sending out a signal, but the problem is that, when you throw the idea of reward or money out to a group of people that are very divided, a lot of times they run to that thing without thinking. They want to grab it, not knowing that it's not necessary for you to grab. Everybody can have a piece. You don't have to take yours first for it to happen. It's not a matter of who comes first gets their piece.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's not a crab in the barrel type of dynamic that's going on. It's a dynamic that requires everybody understand what their rights are first.
Yeah,
And
let's
the more clearer people are about their rights, the faster it's going to actually happen. And and by the way, countries, superpowers, they use this stuff all the time. I mean, it's not like they don't have the money to pay the reparations. The problem is nothing to do with money. The United States of America gets over $20 trillion a year. $20 trillion a year is the GDP. That's the working dollar. That's what they're making. That's what's pumping in their hands. So it's not a matter of the money at all. So the people that make an idea that there won't be enough money for everybody and all that, it's like, man, get out of here. It has nothing to do with money. They got loads of money. The issue that they're going to probably be looking for is that they want some kind of recognition for paying reparations. What does that do? How does that put the U.S. in a good political lens across the globe. That's what they looking for. Everybody's looking for their own angle on it. So
Yeah,
they're
if
not
it
going to
don't
break
benefit
ranks.
them, yeah, if it don't benefit them, they probably won't. It probably won't
Well, it's
never happen.
But that
I
that
yeah,
would
mean,
be
but it's going
that would
it's
be
going to benefit
empowering.
them.
That
It's
would be
going to benefit
empowering
them.
to pay the
yeah,
Yeah,
reparations.
yeah, I
But
understand
that's
that,
they're
what
but
I'm
in debt
saying.
though. America's in debt, like most Western countries. Japan is a country that's not really in debt like that because the debt is like domestic. Like it's owned by mainly by Japanese companies. But I'm sure you heard that China owns so much gold or currency of America. But
yeah,
anyway. Apple has more money than the U.S. government. Many times people say that. I don't know if it's 100% true, but many times people say that.
Yeah,
yeah, but there's
it's
an
true.
agenda too. Like I told you, it's not gonna benefit them. I mean, it all depends on what and how they gonna give black people reparations, and if black people are divided, it's not, if if we on the same old tip like we are today, me, everybody's selfish. I mean, I don't see what they're gonna do with the money and how much the money is gonna be for each person personally. Maybe as a group of people, the money could could take to do certain things, as far as building and business and investing. But I just, like I said, it's like the system is an agenda. It has an agenda for how it works, and some people have to be at the bottom for it to work. So if they see it benefit to them, that's by a long shot. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think they're
Well,
ever going to do it.
Didn't they give hundreds of millions to Ukraine? You
Oh
know,
yeah, I
Yeah,
know
because
that.
they
I know
want
it
to.
benefit to
Because they
them.
want
That
to.
that's you know, they have to keep
well,
the economy going. They have to keep people working the way they want them, and all this yada yada.
It it benefits them. It's not a
To you, it
you
does.
know
Yeah.
it's a thing where it's like, sure, it's politics. Ultimately it's politics. They don't. No one can force them right now to do anything, right? But it's definitely a political thing. But when we when the descendants um divide themselves and show that we don't even understand what reparations is, it doesn't help the situation. You see what I mean? There are groups of people that have been colonized and experienced atrocities that are African descent that have gotten some forms of reparations from different governments. There are, you know, and they continue to seek more. You see, and why they got it is because they also got something to offer. So the question is that what is it that they get from these descendants? What is it that they get from these descendants that works for the nation, that works for the country? And the biggest thing that they get is on the world stage, they get to look like it's not just talk, this justice thing, that is more than talk, that they really believe in it. The other thing is that in the national stage, they get African Americans following through, continuing to say, hey, I'm going to participate in this society. I'm going to keep holding up in this democracy and saying, yeah, this democracy is one of the better ones around the world. Things like that. It's just politics, you know. They don't lose much by giving us the money because most of us are just going to spend the money right back in the country that gave it to us. That it's going to boost up the neighborhoods we live in. It's going to boost up the businesses in our neighborhood. So if it's done strategically, there is no problem. You see,
well,
but we got to be the ones that discuss it like we really want it, like we really understand how it can help us, like it really can do some of the things that we've been saying historically. It can correct some of the historical wrongs. But if we just discuss it like in some other way, like then it just doesn't move the ball together faster. But again, I would say this. I truly believe the people that are working on reparations with the US government, you probably do not hear a word from them outside. You don't hear a lot because, you know, why would you want to mess up something like that that's so sensitive?
Well, here,
hold,
go
hold
ahead.
on.
Yeah, I
So,
will.
sorry, Sister RP. Um, Yvette Cornell, she I probably know he was on Twitter, but Pan Africanism strikes back. By the way, he's in Kenya now. I think he's been to Ghana. I thought he owned property in Ghana, but apparently he owns some property in Kenya. But he's been live streaming from Kenya, just today. Even Kono said that Tariq Nasheed sabotaged that meeting that he had. I think it was in LA, in California. Um, but I don't know if you've seen it, but he almost came to blows with something. I don't know what he said. I didn't watch the stuff. I think it's 8 hours long. But did some of you see the altercation? Some people were ready to basically fight Tariq. I don't know. I just want to put it there. But feel free, Sister Arthur.
I heard something about that, and I also it was a lot of negative crap going on during that, and I'm not sure I'm not sure it even had an organic beginning. That whole what do you call it? Exercise or protest that they did that day. It seems a little contrived. But I wanted to put this on our minds real quick. There's a gentleman, he goes by the name Gus T. Renegade. He has a call-in show
The
called
cows.
Context of White
That's the
Supremacy.
person.
It's very good.
I don't.
And
I don't like this guy. To me, it's like I'm gonna let
mm,
you speak, sister. But to me, it's like
mm,
the Black Authority. That guy who has Eldridge Clever, the rapist from the Black Panther Party, and
okay.
they quote a lot. What's his name? Claudin the Son, and mainly they quote
Willie Taylor.
Freshness, Nelson, and Neil Fuller. So Neil Fuller. So they talk about being on code, and if you don't know white supremacy, it won't confuse you. And I think Tariq she got a lot of any white person is a suspected white supremacy stuff like that. But this guy, I'm not saying he's completely anonymous, but I don't recall ever seeing his face, just like the Black Authority. And I'm always wary of people who are anonymous and unidentified. Besides, I don't really know their affiliation when it comes to like politics, or if they're down, for example, with the Nation of Islam, when we have fair kind of teaching that black people are cursed, marked, and disfigured, and so on. And they seem to be FBA. But I'm sorry, sister, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Um, no, I guess he does that. I don't know why he does that. I don't even want to guess why. But Gus, I do appreciate that definition. He has a definition. So I think most of us would agree that we are in a system of racism, white supremacy, and when it comes to reparations, what I am mindful of, if it's true that we're in a system of people who classify themselves as white, and like he would say, they're dedicated to subjugating and abusing people classified as not white. So that includes Africans, African Americans, that includes whoever, like you said, Aboriginal people, people in Southeast Asia, whatever. If that's true, my concern is with reparations, they'll find a way to probably sabotage it. So we really have to be strategic, like Mr. Bennett was saying, because if these people, first off, we all know by now that in America the money is based off of nothing, or it's based off of debt. So if that's the case, and we're already getting ready to approach a debt ceiling, which means they have to borrow, either agree to borrow more money from the Federal Reserve or go default, and now they're talking about reparations. So the thing is, will that money even have anywhere near the same dollar amount value on its face that it does today? Say, for instance, 5 years from now, if they do say
Yeah,
yes, reparation, you get what I'm saying? Like, they're going to
it'll
find a
have
way
it.
to fluff
You
it
know,
up, I think.
no,
Hmm.
you know what it is? It's because we kind of like well, I'm not saying you, but I mean a general problem that we have in maybe our miseducation, and not everybody's, again, because a lot of us are very intelligent and very detailed, and we absorb, get information, and integrate information from a lot of different spaces, you know. But if you haven't noticed, you know, the US government, you know, and you know, this is one of, if not one of the most powerful government that's ever existed in humanity. You know, it's way past a simple little thing of can it pay reparations? I mean, it is way past its dollar being based on gold. You know, it's way past that. Its dollar is based on trade of all goods combined, including gold and technology and weapons, selling technology and also weapons. So all those things are connected to the US dollar. All of them. It's not like it's not like the back in the turn of the century or before where people just said, you know, let's pick one thing that our dollar is based on. I know what everybody likes, gold. No, it's not one of those. This is a super economy based on loads of stuff. And it's basically like something that if it falls on top of a lot of people. It falls on top of, and so there's so many more people that are invested in making sure it doesn't fall, not because they necessarily are even American, but just because they understand that dynamic, that if it does fall, it's going to cause a lot of problems for a lot of people. That easy changeover, it won't be no easy changeover. You see what I mean? So, but damn, going back to what you were saying, it's not about the reparations. It's not going to be about devaluing it, because at the end of the day, it's like $2 trillion. We talking about African Americans, and the U.S. government makes over 20 something trillion. The GDP is yearly. That's yearly. So it's purely a political thing, you know. But in my mind, what makes it not really happen for African Americans, and it's actually happening, it's just because we're divided in a lot of ways. We haven't, our people haven't disseminated even the idea of what reparations is. You know, we're still selling a simplified idea, most of us, when it's not. It's got to be combined. It has to include, it has to be multifaceted reparations. It has to make sense in a lot of ways that doesn't just benefit us directly through cash, but benefits the society, you know, so things like this won't happen again,
Can
you
I
know.
say this and then I'm going to jump off if y'all don't
Yeah.
mind? I agree. That's why I was saying something about it. Strategy, law, I believe it's 2948 laws of power, plan to the end. But I was listening a few times and actually read the transcript of Dr. King's one of his last speeches. And he mentioned that there's socialism for the rich and rugged individualism for everyone else. And I know we've been tricked into buying into rugged individualism. We're going to have to get back to a collective mindset, because once these dollars, you know, hit our wallets and our purses and stuff, if we don't make collective decisions, like where I live, there's a bunch of Hispanic people, aka Mexicans. They own blocks. They own blocks on blocks. They have car repair, restaurants. I mean, this might as well be a Mexican town where I'm at. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So for crying out loud, where can I go here where I even see one black business that don't sell fried chicken or barbecue? You know, we have to get beyond certain things and get to collective action and also diversify. And that's all I want to say. Thank you, Shaka, and love the shirt. And I'll see y'all next time.
Thank you
Mm-hmm.
for purchasing
Yeah.
the shirt. I appreciate that, sister.
Hotep
Hotep Sanity.
What's up? What's up?
We have Andrew
Yeah.
Bennett. How you doing, sister? In the place to be tonight.
I'm in tonight. I'm in it tonight. Hi, everybody on the panel. I was just saying, you got this is great conversation, because I mean, I don't understand how every time it comes to us getting something, it's just never available to black people, but everybody else can get it. They got money going to Ukraine, they don't have a problem. They got money going to Israel. They don't have a problem. But anytime it comes to us getting anything, I don't care what it is, all of a sudden we are broke as hell. We ain't got a damn dime. It is just absolutely insane. They had a brother
And
I
we,
heard
you know what?
Go ahead, B.
Oh,
Bennett.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, I
So there,
was just gonna say that, and that's something we do too. That's also bad. We say this thing like, we ain't gonna have money for reparations for us because of Ukraine, and it's like, what? What? Where you get that idea from?
right.
It's multiple people that can get all this stuff because that's how big the
I'm
economy is.
saying it's nothing new. They always do that for who they want, whatever's beneficial to them.
Exactly. And when it comes to us, we're always broke. So there's a guy out there who said that the U.S. government owes black people he thinks 14.1 trillion in reparations. And he said, and that's just from the government. And he said, and if you split it all out of all black folks in America, it should be about $350,000 a piece, right? So Dr. Phil, he says, well, I don't think that's a good idea to give that money to them like that because they don't know how to spend it. It's gonna be gone in 6 months. I'm like, but you didn't say that when our Japanese Americans got it. You didn't say it when the Koreans got it. You sure had said it that all the money we give to Israel, and you're damn sure ain't saying about the money we give to the Ukraine. So how is it that when it comes to money getting in our hand, all of a sudden we're irresponsible, but when it comes to everybody else getting money, that's okay? I'm sorry. And then you got black people who was on the show with him. Yeah, you're right, Dr. Phil. I'm like, what? What do you mean he's right? Stop it.
I have an answer for that question.
It's funny. It's funny. Like, who even gave him the right to be speaking on what black people should get? Like, I don't know who these people think they are.
But hey, Rue, but check this out. Him speaking, let him speak. See, but the real problem is our people chiming in with him. It's like, because if you think about it, he's not a victim. He's not, he can speak as much as he wants. What he is saying has nothing to do with anything because he's not the victim.
Right.
So
and not only
it doesn't matter what he says.
Made him rich. A black woman made him rich. It's like, stop it. You hypocrite, you. Oh, I'm just.
That's how much. That's how much right they feel like they have the right to speak on whatever black people have going on, and that's the disrespect, you know what I mean? And when we are not together collectively, especially those with a voice and have power and money and yada yada, don't stay together and stick up for the ones that hasn't reached their platform, because you know what I mean, they have a lot of rich people out here and they could care less what their people going through. Their same cousin or brother might be still stuck in the struggle and they could care less. So in saying that, like they feel like they could speak on anything when it comes to black people and still make mockery of them and laugh at them, and is like the outrage, like they killing us, much less for saying what they want. So that's just to show you the kind of respect we still don't get on a global scale until there's an outrage as a whole. It's not gonna be effective.
Because even like I have some friends who are Haitian and down in Florida, they figured out a way, they had sense enough to build, if they're going to have any kind of property, anything, to be inland. And now these corporations are saying, oh, well, we need that land, so we're going to price you out. That you can't afford to stay in those properties anymore. What we do is always, it's a constant, a barrage of trying to make sure we don't get anything. I mean, it's just, and when we try to tell people that, they just look at you like you lost your damn mind. I just tell them, I said, y'all can sit back and say all you want to say and say there's reverse discrimination and all sort of kind of stuff. I said, but at the end of the day, there's no policies that we create that causes your skin color to be in harm's way. But y'all do plenty for us. We got all kinds of stuff that y'all write, all policies, all kinds of procedures you write to keep us from making it in this life, because you want us to constantly pull ourselves by our own bootstraps, but you don't do the same thing. And I'm like, y'all need to. I'm not one to be quiet when it comes, because they know they're on a government welfare recipient program, but they don't want to call it that. It's tax cuts. It's everything else but saying they're government welfare recipients, but they want to say everybody else is a government welfare. We're entitled. We got all these entitlements. No, you have the entitlements, not us. We're barely making it, but you want to put a label on us that strictly applies to you. I don't let them get away with that. I don't. Anyway,
Relax.
I'm just saying when I hear all these conversations, about how they try to make it seem like everything's equal now. Man, you've had a black president. What more do you want? It's like stop. Y'all.
Yeah,
what
but
more do you
it can
want?
it can
It's never
never be.
enough.
It can't be. I mean, there's there's an economic factor to it, because the U.S. government it didn't start off being the most powerful government that has ever existed on the face of the earth, but because of slavery, centuries of slavery, it has become that, and so you don't just catch up to something like that. There's no catch up involved in that, and there's no the psychological damage alone. I mean, that is is really about pain and suffering, because this has been generational, and you're just not dealing with the same type of people anymore. I mean, I'm not trying to, just to give people an idea, African Americans are not the same type of people. These are people that have been through centuries of oppression, psychological torture, and torment, let alone the economic robbery. You see what I mean? It's true. And so reparations is not about winning. Reparations is not about, no, it's truly reparations. It's the bare minimum. It's literally the bare minimum. It's like, we're not a danger to anyone. We can't ever get back our esteem that was lost. We can't get our identity back. We can't get past the fact that everybody knows we were slaves for hundreds of years. I mean, that alone, there's people walking around that just feel good because they weren't. You know what I mean? Like, literally, people that feel pride just because they weren't slaves for hundreds of years. And there's loads of people that look down on us even today. Just the anti-blackness in the world, it's so real. Just being of African descent comes with a serious baggage. So the reparations is the bare minimum, but a lot of our people don't know what $1 trillion is. A lot of our people don't know how many billions makes up $1 trillion. Just in that alone, and so whenever the psychological damage is there, so when we see a person speaking out about it, like Dr. Phil, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. If he was talking about Jewish people would be like, man, fuck you. We don't care what you think. And that's literally how an intelligent African American has to think. I'd be like, Dr. Phil, fuck you. We don't, because it has nothing to do with you. You don't bear into this conversation at all. Not in the slightest. You don't lose anything if you don't get reparations, and you don't win anything if we get reparations. You literally have nothing to do with it. If we get reparations, you still Dr. Phil. You still got $1 billion $1 million in your pocket from your TV show. It's like, we're not speaking about your ancestors, Dr. Phil, and we're not we don't give a damn about you. It has nothing to do with you. And so I don't get it. And also, the government would also take the same stance. The government, when they want to know what's best for reparations for African Americans, the first people's voice that matters the most is African Americans. Even the government would take that position. They wouldn't be like, let me go see what Dr. Phil thinks. Dr. Phil, what you think? There's enough Black people, African people working on reparations globally that are experts on this matter. You don't refer to other people. And it's the same thing with anti-Semitism and the Holocaust. You refer to Jewish people. You don't refer to goddamn Muslims. Nobody's going to say, hey, let me go talk to the sheikh about, anti-Semitism and how that works. What works best? Let me go talk to Dr. Phil. you know, or let me talk to George Washington. Tell me how was the Holocaust, George Washington? You was in America. Tell me, how did it go? You know, nobody does that. And no serious group of people that want to accomplish anything do that. So we don't even have to worry about what the hell Dr. Phil thinks. The most important thing is, are we thinking about reparations clearly? And as you can see, the moment you got a Tariq Nasheed out there implying that because somebody's from Haiti, they're going to get money, it's like, man, what is this guy talking about?
But
it
even
doesn't
if
make
that
any
is the
sense.
case, but America kind of put Haiti in that position too. I mean, we did some ish to them, you know. So I mean, yeah, why not? I mean, you know,
Yeah,
some
they're
of
going to be
the
getting it
problems that they're
from
having in Haiti came from America.
They will be getting it from a lot of places. They'll be getting it from France. They'll be getting it from the U.S. when they get their thing together as a government. When Haitian people get their thing together, they definitely. Everybody knows Haiti's supposed to get reparations, you know, but it's in such a deplorable manner. They're just not. They're dealing with so many other things. They're dealing with, do you have the right to walk down the street right now without getting killed, raped, or robbed, literally? So they can't even get back on to discussion about reparations. But Trinidad's discussing it, Jamaica's discussing it, Virgin Islands is discussing it, Colombia is about to discuss it, you know, all over, and the US is part of that too. I mean, and it's not only these countries, and it's going to be more conversation about it, because that's just something these Western in America has to deal with that specifically, and the European colonialists that had slaves in these countries are dealing with it specifically. The UK, every year you hear a new Jamaica go back to the UK. The UK could say no 50 times, they don't care. The Jamaicans going to ask 1,000 times. They're never going to stop, because it's just a reality. If they don't get that, it's going to damage their relations with the UK. Why should they keep doing business and trade with the UK if the UK is not about justice? And that's really what this is about. And the Americas is going to be affected the same way. If they want China out of South America, well, you better get serious about reparations. If you don't want Russians coming into the United States spreading disinformation like they've been spreading it over the elections and having so much success, you better get serious about paying reparations, because these are things that affect people's minds. Yo, sorry, bro. Yeah, feel me.
I think Dr. Phil does lose something if black folks get reparations. I think Dr. Phil and all the other whites just like him lose something. And that's just simply
Price of the house going to devalue the neighbors.
Well, I think we underestimate how much these people enjoy our suffering. I don't see reparations happening, for the simple fact that I think we're dealing with the same exact people today as we were dealing with during slavery, Jim Crow, and all of that. I don't believe that these people have actually changed like that. I think technology has changed. You know, there's been little updates to the society and whatnot, and you know, the way that they practice their oppression upgrades with time or whatever. But I don't think we're actually dealing with any people that's any different. The greatest case that you had for reparations were the actual people that went through it. And the reparations movement is not new. It's been going on since the actual people who were enslaved. Right after slavery, they started that movement. And every generation of whites have created excuses for why they won't give reparations, including to that first generation who were actually enslaved. If they wouldn't give it to them, I don't see any chances of them willingly giving it to black people today. I mean, literally everything, just like it's all in what y'all are saying. Literally every single thing that black people have gotten, they've had a problem with. The most basic of things. Can we just get freedom? They got a problem with it. They start talking about just that alone, freedom. Back then, they were talking like black folks have more rights than them now, just from getting freedom. Same thing once black people got their right to vote. It was the same thing. It it took blood, it took fire to get the right to vote, and for the next 100 years after black men or whatever got the right to vote, every time they tried to exercise the right to vote, they were getting lynched. Anything at all that they perceive that black people are getting that may make their lives better, they have a problem with that because they enjoy black people suffering. They enjoy it. It's not just a thing of like people like to wrap up atrocities like slavery into a thing of, well, they just wanted to make money. It was just greed and whatnot. Sure, they like making money, but they enjoy our suffering as well. There's a lot of
Yeah, I know what you mean. The privilege.
You know what I
They're
mean?
like the privilege, basically. It's kind of
They
subtle, but it's there. They
enjoy their
they enjoy
privilege.
the upper hand.
Yeah,
It
Like
ain't
Dr.
so.
Phil
but
yeah.
they also specifically enjoy black people's suffering. I see it all the
Yeah, well,
time, like with these with a lot of these cases that you have out here where black people get brutalized or even killed, whether it's by cops or white vigilantes and whatnot. It's always stuff where I'm like, this is stuff that other people do all the time, and they don't get killed over it. And I don't hear anybody arguing that they should be killed for that and whatnot, or brutalized. But whenever it happens to black people, that's when it magically becomes something that's worthy of being brutalized over or being murdered over or whatever. Um, the the brother just the other day, Jordan Neely, on the subway or whatever. All they say he was doing was he was yelling, talking about how he was hungry and wanted something to eat and so on and so forth. And you had that man strangling to death on video.
He's
And
charged
they
now.
they arrested the guy maybe a day or two ago or something like that now.
And now he's
But
officially charged. That
yeah,
threat.
manslaughter. But for a while it went. The time period this time was because it was like a couple of weeks or something like that. Usually it's longer than that because with Ahmaud Arbery, he got murdered in
yeah.
February, and they wouldn't arrest his murderers. It took worldwide protests and whatnot for them to finally arrest the murderers in May. It was the same thing with Trayvon. Trayvon got murdered in February, and it took worldwide protests and whatnot because they wouldn't arrest dude, and he finally got arrested in April. So, and all in all of these cases, people, it'll be like I see videos on a daily basis from white folks bugging out in public, going crazy, screaming, yelling, using profanity, threatening people, assaulting people and whatnot in public restaurants, in parking lots, in airports, whatever. Daily, on a daily basis, I see these videos, and they're never killed, and no one argues that they should have been. But when black people
And sorry,
are
and
in,
sometimes they attack the police with knives and they survive to tell the story.
there was a case a few months
Yeah.
back where a guy that they were looking for, he just came. He was, and they were looking for him for murder. It was a murder charge, and he comes out and he starts stabbing the cop 6 times in the neck, and they still took that guy in, unharmed. And, I mean, there was a story about a 14-year-old black kid a few months back that it was in school. A school resource officer picked him up and slammed him on the ground, cracked his skull, giving him permanent brain damage. And the thing that he did that was so wrong, he was walking in the hallway without a hall pass. And then I'm seeing all these white folks that's arguing like that's the most egregious thing ever, and therefore the guy had no choice but to slam him on the ground and crack his skull and
That's
give him brain
crazy,
damage.
man.
That's
That's
how they
crazy.
everything. I'm telling you, everything that other people do that normally would not be looked at as that bad, whenever black people do it and something
Mm-hmm.
atrocious happens to them, that's how people start arguing is that, hey, I mean, that's how it is. You
You're
should have known
resisting.
better. And da, da, da.
But you
Yeah.
know
Because
what's also
people
happening?
are suffering.
See, there was a time where you didn't get to see that on video all the way across the world.
Exactly. Yeah.
See, but we're living in the time period where not every time, but you could say every other time at the least, it's being recorded and it's being showed everywhere. And you know what that creates? A political situation globally that anybody that is against the United States of America will utilize to their advantage. Not just against, but even if you're an ally. Even allies try to outdo each other a little bit. Why? Because, hey, why should I take on the collateral damage from this one when I can do something myself and show the other power in the world that, hey, we're not like that. We're a little bit better. Things like, everybody's always vying for an advantage. So the U.S. government, it basically has a serious choice to make. And I agree with you. It's not subtle. The violence is not subtle. But in some of these people's minds, the difference to them, because Dr. Phil, he don't see himself as a guy that's beating up black people or anything like that. But for Dr. Phil, the difference would be to get him to understand is he's never had to walk into a job every day where it's a black dude that's the boss. That's the Dr. Phil, and he's the secretary. You know what I mean? He's never had that situation ever going. That's the worst that would ever happen to him. But he just can't even conceive of that. He's just a nut. You know what I mean? But you're right. The violence and the real discrimination that's going on, it's only exposing it. It's only putting the U.S. right back at the table for what? Reparations. Because you have two things. You either fix the problem or you admit you cannot fix the problem and you have to do the bare minimum. That's the only thing you could do. And so the question is, who is the reparations for? That's really the question, because them cutting a check for African Americans, it's not hurting America. It's not hurting the American economy. All that money that goes in each money or any resource, it's all to the benefit of the United States government. Every penny, if it's in education, where are you gonna go and get that job from after you get educated? If it's in a housing deduction for taxes, where are you going to buy that house? If it's money in your pocket, well, where are you going to spend that money at? I mean, it's back in the economy. You see what I mean? So they could look at it and say, forget reparations, but it's really the stupid white people. It's the stupid ones. They don't see, and there are a lot of them. There's a lot of them that just don't get that. It's countries that do it. You look at the Marshall Plan after World War II. The United States government pretty much bankrolled the Marshall Plan for Europeans to build back their country. You see these people, what did they build back? They didn't build the country back the same way. They built it back a little bit different, their economies. They made sure that, wait a second, a little bit more of this capital dollar is going to go into everybody's pocket, because that trickles around the society and keeps their own dollar and their own economy stronger that way. So the U.S. has a restructuring problem, at the worst. Now, they could fumble the restructuring issue with their economy. They could fumble that. You could see these Republicans. Everybody knows these Republicans are some dumbasses. They don't have a plan. The only thing they could come up with, and I mean only thing, which anybody on earth could have came up with, a 3-year-old baby could have came up with, we're not going to vote to pay the debt. Anybody could have came up with that. But that just shows they're so politically weak that that's all they have. All they have is that. But you know what? In my mind, that's the most serious threat that they could ever make, because everybody knows if you just pay the debt, the U.S. is in a very strong economic position still across the globe. You see what I mean? So it's really like these people really, they are stupid, but they're also the worst enemy of their own country.
Yeah. And they
They're
always want to
kicking
say that they're
themselves in the
fiscally
ass.
conservative, and
Sorry,
they know
go
they're
ahead. Yeah,
not.
yeah.
They always want to say they're fiscally conservative, and they know they're not. I mean, they don't have a problem spending $850 billion on our war machine, but then they don't want to spend any money to help anything. They want to say pro-life until they send people to war. They want to say all these things that have nothing to do with who they claim to be. They want to say, I believe in God, but yet your actions show that you're contrary to what you're saying. It's just like when I was employed, I worked for this company, and when the George Floyd situation happened and everybody was able to see there and watch it in live and in living color, all of a sudden it kind of hit our CEO's head. Oh, we need to do diversity, equity, and inclusion here. We need to do that, because this is so egregious. This was so bad. But okay, so you think about it when Philando Castro was killed. You didn't think about it then when he was murdered. You didn't think about it when Breonna Taylor was murdered. You didn't think about all these other people, and you didn't even think about it with the two brothers who got arrested by the police in Starbucks just for sitting there waiting for their friend to show up. You didn't think about it when nobody was murdered. But now all of a sudden, because you saw this on TV, you had no place to go but to watch it with your eyes. Now it becomes something that we need to do something about. And then that didn't last very long, because as soon as the Asian hate crime stuff started happening, we got to the corner again, and somebody else's needs came forward. So I'm just like, I kind of agree with the brother that we probably won't see reparations, because the society as a whole, they don't. We had to learn how other people move in the earth, right? We had to learn their behaviors, because we had to know how to go out there and navigate in America for one, and then around the world, number two, because of the dominance, the white supremacy that exists around the globe. So we have to learn how to move not in reverse. They don't know us, and they don't really care to know, because it would cause, like what our brother was saying up here in the corner, it would cause them to have to make changes that they're not willing to do on our behalf. If they're forced to do it, I mean, the laws force them to do a particular thing, but it can't change what's happening, what's in their heart to do. So I'm just like, I've had enough of all of that.
They can't
stuff.
they can't be they're under some serious confusion, because this is the thing where it's like you have a situation where the United States is the most powerful country on earth. It is. And once that status changes, there's a different situation. You don't regain that overnight. You don't regain that in 100 years. You don't regain that. So they might want to reconsider how they look at this thing, because when you have the advantage, you're supposed to be doing everything you can do to keep that advantage, right? They will never have another opportunity at being the most powerful country on earth. You could be sure of that. They could be absolutely
Not if it
sure
means
of
getting
that.
us anything.
No, but what it means is that when things start going down, they're not going to start turning back up. They're going to keep going down.
White people are willing to hurt black people, or I'm sorry, white people are willing to hurt themselves if it hurts black people more.
Yep.
And hold on. Danny Williams wants to share something with us. There's a guy who's a Moor as well. I don't think he's a Temple Moor. It's known as
I didn't know
Asir the
Donnie was
Duke of
there.
Tyr. Yeah, he's been there for a
Hey,
minute.
D-Dub.
And he's going to share it, I think, from his phone. Feel free, Donnie. Welcome.
Thanks. To the panels, I know you guys are having a pretty engaging, good conversation. And it took me some time to get this clip together, so I kind of hate doing it now because I feel like it's interrupting your guys' conversation.
It's
But
okay, because I'm
ahead.
gonna wrap it up. It's been close to 3 hours, so don't worry about this, Donnie. We
Okay.
can always have this convo some other live streams,
All right. So my equipment is kind of antiquated. I'm doing this off my phone. Y'all can roast me later, but here we go. Let me see. And let me know if you can hear it.
of something natural turned into a flat surface, right? In which now people are trying to diametrically put themselves onto it, but that's what they did to you. Quick story. I was getting beat up in court. I maybe told it before, long time ago, taken to court for things or whatever. And I was in the process of that for maybe 5 years. By the first 2 years, I was getting beat up. By the third year, I realized that this whole thing is not even real. Like, as real as it was, what made it real was my intention in it. And my intention in it was to stop them from attacking me and taking what I felt was mine. But once I realized that they could not take anything from me that I did not give them, then it became a different flow. And so I started to understand that the paperwork is really just a vehicle that really had nothing to even do with what's on the paper. I started to do actual, like the seal of Solomon, because I realized that a lot of people that's processing this paperwork is Ashkenazi Jews. So if that's the case, then they're part of the Benai Breath. And then from there, they're part of the other so-called orders that they deal with. And when I realized that, I said, well, there's binding sigils that our ancestors created that I can use as watermarks on my paperwork. I'm going to start using that. Then I started saying, well, you know what? If that's the case, then
let me know when you have enough, but it's not the interesting part yet.
I'm not started doing other things, really going in there in my proper self. So I started at the time, if I remember, I used to wear a lot of feathers in my head when I was growing it out. So one day I went with all black raven feathers, right? And I had a whole, like, when the mobsters wear the black trench coat over they right? So I went in there with that, the medals and all of that. I went in there, put a little obelisk on the desk, gave him my paperwork, and every time the judge spoke, I spent it. What started to happen was he started stuttering, he started drooling, the computer started to malfunction, right? And then the next time I went to court, the court was packed just like this, but it was just for me. So then I started to realize, oh, they sending the boys in. So let's really take it up, because now I want to see what I can do. Because now I realize that the magic is really me, that these people is trying to take something from me that they could never control. So it got to the point, to make a little story shorter, it got to the point that I created what was called a letter of rogatory, based on the right of Alexander. This is where moral science comes in, because true moral science is the study of self. And when Noble Ali basically taught, he was the first one telling us that we was already here. And in the process of realizing that, I started to actualize the actual paperwork and started to reduce all statutory language and just started to speak in what they call the King's English, which is the language that our ancestors spoke here. So when they would ask me questions, so one time the judge asked me a question and I just responded to him in Latin. I said, which means he who enters into a contract either has to be aware or ought not be aware of the origin of the contract. Once I did that, brothers and sisters, and gave them the paperwork and hit with that little regulatory to basically let them know, I know the jig is up, I'm the judge, I'm the magi, and I expect you to release this bond to me by the next joint. I'm gonna put a whole lien on the building. When I went to the court the next time, they chained the door. They called my name, went to the door, the door was changed. I had to sneak into the court behind. Then when I got into the court, the judge wasn't even on the bench. He didn't even show up. They sent a little old white lady, little clerk lady out in the back and asked what I wanted to do. I said, well, this is dismissed. Put it down on the ring. I said, it's dismissed. And because he didn't show up and do what he's supposed to do, I'm going to follow through with the action. Follow through with the action. 3 months after that, went back down to the court. The court building closed. Yeah, 284 Adam Street. Look it up. I went in there. The court building closed. Said they had to close it for rats. And then they moved it across the street to the new fabricated building they built up in the process of all of this happening. So I still own the lien on it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to say I did this with no UCC.
Hold on, Donnie Williams. Hold on. I just want to ask, can you get what he's saying? Like, I can hear him speak, but I don't get much of what he's saying. But can you guys get what he's saying?
I don't know
not really.
upset.
Yeah,
I,
but
I
just
can
just
get a
just
little
tell
bit
us.
of it.
Yeah,
He's like he was in and out of the courtroom and
yeah, I
something
got that,
changed.
but the specifics I didn't get. But that video rings a bell. He said something crazy that was like buzzing a few years back. But just tell us, Donny Buenas, what did he say? I see the Duke of Tia. What is it? What did he
So
say?
he basically had a court case, and every time the judge, when he sat down, every time the judge would go to speak, he would take like this ball that he had and spin it. And he said when he would spin it, the judge would start to stutter. And then he started speaking in Latin, and it was just like he went back the next day. The judge was gone. They locked the doors, and it was infested with rats. Just some old lion stuff.
he
Y'all,
he
y'all, y'all,
he he got
y'all
that
couldn't
from the
hear it.
movie with well I mean I could hear him but I didn't really get the whole thing because the sound was not too great but I guess I would catch less than you guys because English is not my mother tongue but he got inspired probably by the movie The Devil's Advocate with Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves because there's a scene with Delroy Lindo and he's like a guy who does like voodoo and stuff like that and before the trial Keanu Reeves goes to meet him, and I think he put some
They
nails in
do
the
more.
tongue, and then the judge keeps coughing.
That's
Another judge,
classic.
sorry, the like the prosecutor, the other party was guy keeps coughing, coughing, and then the case like dismissed. I think he got inspired by that, but yeah, that for those who don't know the guy, see, Wafang is asking who the hell was that. He's called Asir, the Duke of Tears. But that guy,
He's a more.
way back, yeah, is a more way back. He
Okay.
had many, many subscribers. That guy is probably one of the most successful. More, you know, and obviously he probably claims to be a Native American because a lot of time he has, the braids and he has
Mm.
feathers as well. So yeah, man, man. So that's if you want to win your court case, then go and see him, and he's going to tell you the sentences you can say in Latin, and then the judge, yeah, what I'm saying.
If you don't pay taxes today, if you don't pay taxes, if you don't do a certain amount of things, man, you just get cut out of everything in the US today, man. It's so damaging, that it's like I just don't see how I mean they all have to be frauds. They all have to be total for like they literally have to be living a completely different life than what they're telling people. Because otherwise you can't have anything.
Danny, do you know the reason why he was in court?
No, I do not know. I don't
And
know.
of course, there's no footage of what he's saying. It's like we have to take his word for it. Oh man. But anyway, brothers and sisters, it's 1 a.m. my way. I don't work tomorrow, but I could use some rest. So, well, tomorrow is the giveaway, and I have one person that registered. So I guess ain't gonna be no quiz. He's gonna win by default. And but I'm gonna
I'm
go
gonna
live
go
anyway. So
register now.
sorry.
What's that you talking about?
I'm gonna go register now.
I'm sorry. Come again, brother. Have you been it?
He said he's going to go register now.
Oh, you
I'm
can't.
gonna
You
go
can't.
register now.
You can't, brother. Okay, well, if you want to, but I mean, I don't know. It seems a bit late because I've sent the link to that person that registered. So you can get on the panel. But yeah, tomorrow, you'll see the giveaway, and then yeah, we can chop it up tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So thank you very much for being there. I appreciate the support. Now we know when I prepare the live streams, there's even comments before we start the live stream. And you know, it's all good, man. Trust me, in less than 2 months, it's gonna be a shift. Polite gonna sing. Most likely, and it's gonna be a big shift. We're gonna find out some more. But in the meantime, standing against child molestation is a noble cause indeed. And remember, brothers and sisters, ask around, ask your peeps. You know what I'm saying? That guy may not be from New York, maybe from somewhere down south or elsewhere, but there should be a way to find out the age of the girl. Should be a way. There should be some paperwork somewhere or some court summary. I would like to know the age of the girl, and you will probably be surprised of how young that girl is. So stay safe, stay healthy. And I'm talking about Tozayak's cousin, the guy who's been in jail for child molestation. He was found guilty in a court of law and it's been about a decade. So stay safe, stay healthy. If I'm allowed to, by the nature, I will definitely holler back at you. I don't argue, I state facts. I think I didn't say it the right way, but let me say it again. Stay safe, stay healthy. If I'm allowed to, Badune Cheru, I will definitely holler back at you. I don't argue. I said facts. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Try to do an Cheru. Hotel.
Now, for the record, for those who don't know, I'm giving Medu Nature classes. And here, that's the flyer. Okay? So, those who are interested, feel free to holler at me. If you're not interested, it's cool. But I recommend that everybody who has not yet seen the video, Kemet and Ma'at, Before Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, then watch it. It has about 300,000 views and really deserves to have a lot more.
I just want to let everyone know who's listening in now and who's going to listen to this stream in the future. I just had my first Meta Nature class by Brother Shaka today, and I've had other Meta Nature lessons by other teachers, and I can tell you right now, the brother is the best in the game. He is that was one of the best classes I've ever had, ever. So if you're interested in learning the Meta Nature, if you're interested in getting the basics of it, Brother Shaka is an awesome teacher. Get with him, and it's extremely affordable. This brother is giving us his time and his skills, and he's basically giving it away. I mean, I just consider it a donation. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody is interested in learning the Meta Nature, get with this brother right here. He's an awesome, awesome, awesome teacher. And I'll end with that.
Hotep Senu, Hena Senut. This is Julie, also known as Servant of Yah, and I'm currently taking the Medu Nature classes with Brother Shaka, and it has been an amazing experience. Only 2 lessons so far, and I feel like I've been taking the classes for months, just with the how in depth he goes into the vocabulary words, the construction of the language, the grammar. It's been immeasurable, the experience. And one thing that comes across, hands down, is his extreme passion for teaching this to anyone who is willing to learn and has an interest in learning. So I highly suggest, if you are interested, even a minimal interest, that you subscribe to the classes with Brother Shaka. It's such a nominal amount for how much you get. I know, like, our last class was over 2.5 hours. It felt like 2 minutes, but because that's how involved you are in what he's teaching and how he teaches and how compassionate he is about what he teaches. Also with sharing materials free of charge, no question, no doubt. It's just what he does. He doesn't have to, but he does. And so I just wanted to give a short testimonial about the class and the effectiveness of the class, and all of that is attested to how studied Brother Shaka is. So I highly recommend anyone with a minimal interest that you do sign up for the Medu Nature class. Hotep.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, which is Ma'at Forever. Don't forget to watch the video entitled Kemet and Ma'at. Don't forget to share Kemet and Ma'at on my channel on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, or other social media that you use. Email, text messages, you name it. Those who wish to donate can do so on paypal.me/Ma'at Forever.